Welcome to Chinese novel audiobook. 61 Still boxing. If you don't sell it, you will starve to death. That night, because Chun's request was urgent, Eugene stayed in Chun Ji's boudoir for a while, then led the three little darlings. No, the little bodyguard quickly left. After all, Haruhime can't always follow him, otherwise, he can level up at any time. However, Eugene will get that kind of magical skill sooner or later. Haruhime doesn't have the talent of an adventurer, so this kind of magic is a waste on her. Moreover, because of the plan of the Ishtar Familia, as long as this magic is still there, she will face a life and death crisis. Eugene's plan is to take this girl down completely, transform into a heart-stealing thief, and turn her into an ordinary person. This leaves a lot of room for maneuver. Whether it is taking him away by force or negotiating with Ishtar, it will be of great benefit to him. Tisk, it's better to just use force. Eugene felt dizzy just thinking about the madam. Arrogant and narcissistic, he has no brains. Because of selfish desires, the whole family sank together. Not only that, thousands of people who make a living on Fengyu Street can only live on the streets. In this war-torn and chaotic world, there is no chance of boxing in the real world. If you don't come out to sell, you will starve to death. This is true in Orario, let alone other countries. Therefore, in order to save those women who work hard for everyone, Eugene can only choose to confront Ishtar. There is no way, I am such a good person. After still changing his body shape, he got on the carriage, and Eugene and others went straight to Chun's workshop. Before reaching the door, several people could feel the thoughts inside. Not coming yet, not coming yet, not coming yet. Eugene felt inexplicably funny. What is this sense of déjà vu of a deeply resentful woman? A top craftsman can be so anxious just waiting for a piece of material. He stepped in casually, and the next second, a brown figure suddenly swooped up in front of him. Wow, uncle, you are here. I'm really waiting for you to die. Different from when they first met, Chun was wrapped in a Japanese-style short top, but this still could not conceal her proud charm. The broad chest squeezed Eugene, causing him to tremble. Ahem, it's coming, it's coming. Eugene told her not to be so excited, otherwise he would move quickly. Let me see what a big treasure it is. Chun crossed her hips, one eye shining. The group of people came to the center of the relatively spacious workshop. Eugene raised his hand and displayed a part of the black Goliath's skin, flesh, bones, and teeth from the system space. What he has taken out is already a lot, but it is still only a small part compared to the total. Fortunately, I accomplished a great feat and was rewarded with a lot of system space, making it easy to store these materials. With the research project in hand, Chun's expression returned to seriousness. She put on a monolithic crystal mirror and carefully analyzed these strange materials. The immersive energy seemed to fall into one's own world again. Eugene was not in a hurry and waited with his arms crossed. Chun's observation is very long, and it takes a long time to look at one thing. After staying like this for at least 3 or 4 hours, Orario's leading craftsman frowned slightly and stood up silently. Eugene looked at her with a smile, just waiting for the result. As you said, it's material I've never seen before. Chun smiled in relief, and, everything is top-notch. That's a must, Eugene mentality. In the original work, it can easily destroy the attack of the secondary weapon, but cannot tear apart the armor made of it. The protagonist Bell also relied on its excellent defense to save his life at the critical moment of life and death. Ignore the rest for now. These hard leathers, plus the hardest metal provided previously, were all made into light armor as soon as possible. No problem. Faced with Eugene's request, Chun readily agreed. She regained her eagerness to try, like a child given a new toy. However, the other children will only destroy the toys until the end. But Chun can further improve it and make it perform even better. Please, girls. Eugene bowed and extended his hands like a gentleman. It's time to dress yourself in new clothes. Just like that, in the middle of the night in Orario, when everything should have been quiet, thick smoke once again rose from the chimney of a workshop. The extremely rhythmic sound of blacksmithing was connected. IV5 adventurers can fight for days and nights. And LV5 craftsmen can naturally hammer for several days without stopping. This is a battlefield that belongs exclusively to them. In order to continuously break through their own limits, they put all their efforts into it and eventually refine it into pieces of reliable equipment. For the joy of achieving that achievement, they can put everything aside. Ah yes. Just when Eugene and the others were about to leave, Chun turned around unexpectedly. Chungwee's processing fee is 100 million. The corner of Eugene's mouth twitched. Money brings a lot of joy. The other side. The headquarters of the Somo Familia clan. The huge mansion that had completely fallen into silence was empty with 10 people. Empty, I mean, no one alive. Gaha. Channis's expression was completely distorted, filled with fear, and there was no trace of grace at all. His shoulder was pierced by a spear and he was bleeding profusely. The strange thing is that no matter how much healing potion is sprinkled on it, it will not help. Don't bother, the man's teasing voice came from the darkness. There is a curse on this gun, and the wounds caused will never heal. Wearing a leather jacket, dark light armor underneath, and reflective goggles on his head, Dick stepped out from the front. He was dressed like a traveler, without the seriousness of an adventurer at all. But everyone who is familiar with him knows that it is because this person has enough strength and confidence to travel unimpeded in the dangerous underground. You, Deeks, why are you doing this to me? Channis roared unwillingly. You are also using my smuggling channels, aren't you? Those monsters you hunted, I helped you transport out of Warario. Now that things have come to this, you B****************** D has actually mastered. Snapped. With a smile on his face, Dix slapped his whole body away with blood spurting out of his mouth. You talk too much, you should beg for mercy more often. That way, I will have more fun, he said with a sinister smile and stepped forward, while Channis kept retreating on the ground, shaking all over and sweating profusely. Please, please, don't kill me. I'll give you all my money. And my channels, my men, and everything I have. But Dix just waved his hand. Oh, don't get it wrong. It's not me who wants to kill you. Terry Cervantes, the operator of a big casino, a super rich man, you really got into trouble with a big shot. Dix sat down on the table and continued to admire the other party's dying struggle. So, now that it's over, it's time for you to hand over the clues to others, right? His voice was clear, but Channis looked confused. Terry, handle, when did you get into trouble with that kind of person? I don't know him at all. Channis' lips trembled, but his mind was running fast. There must be a misunderstanding. Even in desperate situations, he spared no effort to defend himself. After years of cooperation, the two parties still have a certain understanding of each other. Coupled with Channis's eloquence in confusing right and wrong, Dix was slightly shaken. That's it. How dare I, a coward like me, threaten Mr. Turley? I guess there must be someone instigating it. That Eugene, it must be him. Seeing the bloodthirsty murderer in confusion, Channis seemed to see the dawn of life. He knelt on the ground and crawled over, clutching Dix's trousers tightly, and said in a plaintive voice, Brother Dix. As long as you don't kill me, I will be your dog from now on. So, you were really wronged. Dix rubbed his chin, feeling quite helpless. Then I killed so many guards, wasn't it in vain? No. I will keep it a secret for you. Ha. The corners of Dix's mouth grinned, and under the moonlight, scarlet eyes lit up in his goggles. That's well said. With a flick of his arm, the spear drew a bloody light on Channis's face. The next moment, Channis's jaw was completely split open. That way it can be kept secret forever. The man who let out a cruel laugh stood on the windowsill. Instead of feeling discouraged, he was extremely excited. Eugene. This name was given to him by Dix. The next moment, dark clouds covered the moon, and the man's figure merged into the darkness. In this building that was once filled with all kinds of scum and thrived on crime and oppression, only the wailing Channis remained. He stumbled into the deep night. Finally, he fell into the blood-filled hall. Oh, 62 The bad ones are afraid of the ruthless ones, and even more afraid of the crazy ones. The main force of the Somo clan was wiped out overnight, and none of the leader Channis and his cronies were spared. A strange fire swallowed up all the evidence. Only 3 parties know the truth behind this matter. Eugene is one of them. Looks like they're on the move. My business has almost been exposed. Eugene, who had turned into an old man, stood in front of the once majestic building that had now been reduced to scorched earth, with the corner of his mouth slightly raised. The Somo clan relies on its high-quality wine business to become a first-class clan. But after all, it started from business, and its hard power is not very strong. This is similar to the family of Apollo, the sun god. That family relied on luxury goods and had a huge family fortune. The headquarters of the family is a castle. But the leader is only IV3, and Eugene can kill him with one hand. Don't worry, come one by one. Eugene's vision jumped, and he had already begun to plan his own business empire on this ruins. Soma, the god of wine, is just a puppet. As long as he is under control, Eugene is confident that he can achieve even more brilliant results than Channy's. Money, power, plus calendar area. In this era, I will definitely stand at the top. He moved his steps and disappeared into the crowd. There is no need to worry about the efficiency on Tsubaki's side. If it is just a basic style, it can be completed quickly. The equipment and personnel are all ready. Then, it's time for the final battle. Inside the El Dorado casino. So, you were fooled, uncle. Dix looked at Terry in front of him with a sarcastic look on his face. The latter's face was ashen and his face was trembling. If the person sitting in front of him was not an IV5, he would have become furious and thrust the ashtray into the opponent's face. This B****************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** didn't even understand what he was asking, so he killed everyone. What a madman. He didn't expect that Dix would invade from the front and directly pick out Chani's hometown. Fortunately, there was that fire, otherwise it would have caused a huge disaster. Now that everything was back to where it started, Shili felt so aggrieved that he was about to cry. What is going on here? That Eugene is really interesting. Dix swayed in his chair without any reflection, with an air of fearlessness, and even a threat in his tone. Uncle, don't think about running away, you must collide with him. I'm really looking forward to seeing what tricks that kid will do. Damn you. Terry almost exploded when he heard this. But he couldn't bring himself to escape. An entertainment criminal like Dix would die without knowing how he was provoked. In order to avoid risks, you must prepare to transfer assets in advance. He quietly made his own plans. Orario's fixed assets can be discarded, and any black market territory will be given away. In order not to alarm Dix. On the surface, a lot of money had to be left to support the scene. 100 million and 100 million, Terry's heart was bleeding. Just as he was making plans, the solemn-looking servant at the door handed him an unknown letter. Terry knew who sent it without looking. He was not in the mood to blame his men. If they could arrest Eugene, why would he invite Dix, the god of plague? Hurry up, Dix urged from the side naughtily. Terry opened the letter with trembling hands, his eyes gradually solidifying. Seeing that there was no movement from him, Dix impatiently grabbed it with one hand, and then burst into laughter. Ha 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 ha. This kid is incredible. I haven't seen such an interesting guy in a long time. The letter contained only a few sentences. Don't even think about running, you can't run either. Collect the money together and wait patiently for your father to collect it. Tomorrow night, let's have a dream gamble. One round determines the outcome. Dream gamble. Dix threw the letter away like crazy, opened his arms and his face flushed. What wonderful words. Tomorrow night, we will use the most gorgeous gambling game to determine the climax of this farce. In front of Dix, Shili's face was ashen. Gambling. Eugene's meaning couldn't be more obvious. He will use his favorite entertainment method to seize everything he has in this casino he built. This kind of thing is so humiliating and unfair to a generation of heroes. From the depths of Terry's eyes, endless murderous intent and evil thoughts poured out, swallowing up the last bit of sanity. No matter what method is used, he must want Eugene dead. The perspective changes again. The room Lily originally rented is now used as a temporary base for several people. Lu hid her face and leaned against the windowsill, observing her surroundings vigilantly. In the room, Kamui and Nalua were sitting cross-legged opposite each other. Let's get started, Eugene said gently. The two women looked at each other nervously, and then each opened the magic book in front of them. They read softly, and although the brilliance of magic power did not appear on the pages, it was reflected in Shui Ling's eyes. Asking for flowers. Unknowingly, they fell into a deep sleep. Here we go. Lu glanced at it and silently clicked buy. What she saw was that two new and completely different magic powers were condensing on the bodies of the two delicate girls. In dreams, after expressing the soul's desire, they will also get their own powerful magic. By then, the entire team's combat effectiveness will reach another level. The next day, in Chun's workshop, the great craftsman, who had resumed his bold attire and had hot waves with every step, placed his work in front of several people. Although it looks simple, there is no problem at all in terms of defense. Close-fitting clothing made of Goliath's hard leather, named Black Giant. Because Eugene deceived her, this was material obtained from the Black Giant defeated in a certain country. Don't forget our agreement. Give me more. He yelled bad lines without realizing it and waved goodbye to this group of mysterious customers. She returned to the fire, where there was a large pile of materials given by Eugene. Okay. Continue. Day and night alternate. Orario has had its night again. The brightly lit street was bustling with people, completely unaware of what changes were about to happen tonight. And in the Fengyu Street, which is filled with neon lights and an intoxicating atmosphere. In the Jadong Pavilion, the boudoir belonging to the blonde fox girl at the very back was actually empty. At the same time, under the towering Tower of Babel, Aisha, who was carrying a huge machete, looked around with a solemn expression. Next to her, the woman wearing a black cloak was Haruhime. Following Eugene's instructions, she arrived at the entrance of the dungeon as promised. Coming, Aisha, who heard the footsteps, narrowed her eyes and looked into the darkness ahead. There, a figure 2 meters tall and fully armored stepped out steadily. Excuse me, are you Lord Eugene's ally? Facing such a fierce stranger, Haruji showed no fear. Perhaps it was because of a woman's sixth sense that she had a particularly intimate feeling for the figure in front of her. Niu Eugene said nothing. He took off his helmet, revealing a weathered face. Immediately, he took out the gem pendant that symbolized the heart-to-heart relationship. Wait a moment. His voice was steady. The show will start soon. 63 If it's you, a man can do it too. Today's entertainment city is extremely clean. It is obviously located in the most prosperous area, but the flow of people is much less than before. Because today, the world's premier casino, Eldorado Leisure Resort, is closed to all guests. Countless guests who came here with admiration expressed great regret. Only a few old customers smelled something unusual here. Sending all the guards away, you're very good at it. Eugene, who was dressed up, stood in front of the golden door, looking around and marveling. The importance of the entertainment city in Orario is quite high, and it is usually protected by the city's military police and the family of the elephant god Ganesha. It is said that there are 11 IV5s within the Ganesha familia, ranking third in Orario's overall strength. Although this group of masters were hung up and beaten by a LV7 monster in the later stage, and were questioned and injected with water. But that's all for later. 700. It's okay if they're not here at this time. After all, Koroi also tried to assassinate the leader of the Ganesha familia, Ganesha's rod, Shakti. It would be bad if we meet again this time and cause some trouble. There are ambushes around many corners. Eugene observed the opening of the door, and a reminder came from behind him. It's Liu. She made a gorgeous cross-dressing, combed her hair like an adult, and put on a handsome suit. Her lips were smeared with grease and her eyes were as cold as stars, making her look like a handsome young man. Don't worry, no matter how many trash fish there are, they are still trash fish. Eugene looked back at Liu with a playful look in his eyes. What's wrong? Even though he was wearing men's clothing, he still saw the hint of shudder in the other person's eyes, and Liu subconsciously wanted to cover the key parts. I was quite sorry that I couldn't let Miss Lu be my female companion and see you dressed up. But now it seems that you are really beautiful no matter how you dress up. Lu's pretty face turned red, and Lang slapped her in the goods room. How long have you been teasing her now? I have always been serious about beautiful women. Eugene shouted that he was innocent and kept talking nonsense. Liu couldn't stand it anymore, so she pushed him and walked towards the casino. In her opinion, it would be easier to start fighting early than to continue being teased by Eugene. Hey, they're coming. The guard recognized Eugene and let them in with an unkind look. Eugene doesn't talk nonsense either. He struck out at the speed of light, each with an eye thrust, making these two ungrateful guys cry and roll on the ground. At this critical moment, you, a watchdog, still dare to slander me. Stepping into the splendid casino hall for the second time, Eugene felt as if he were home, stretching his body and feeling relaxed. The difference from the last time is that this time, there is no such thing as the sound of chips, the exchange of glasses of wine, and other life phenomena. There was no one in the big hall. But as experts, Eugene and Lu could feel the dense atmosphere in this building. Oh, welcome distinguished guests. Suddenly, the door directly in front opened, followed by wild laughter. A group of adventurers headed by Dix rushed in like a group of black fish and quickly surrounded Eugene and Liu. Who is this? My dear, Icarus Familia, Dix Perdix. Mr. Eugene, I've heard of him for a long time. Dix's expression was calm, but his eyes were fixed on Eugene like a hawk. He wanted to see if Eugene had expected him to be at this level. Eugene could see through the other person's mind completely and started performing directly on the spot, narrowing his eyes slightly and showing a slightly frightened look. And this detail was brought to the attention of Dix. He smiled with satisfaction, thinking that his appearance exceeded Eugene's expectations. Mr. Dix, do you want to have a hand in my deal with Mr. Turley? HMPH, you can find help, but you won't allow me to do so. Terry appeared from the side with a gloomy expression. Today, compared to the evil-minded Dix, he has become a background. Even so, the moment he appeared, Liu's brows immediately frowned. Sure enough, it was him. There are many people who have committed sins and begged for mercy in front of Lady Estrella. Now, he has indeed remained stubborn and embarked on the path of evil. Creak. Liu's fists were clenched, and his hostility was extremely strong. But in the face of a powerful enemy, she also knows the importance of the situation. Liu asked herself that she couldn't fight against the violent man Dix. Even if she is a rare master of both magic and martial arts, with attributes reaching 2A1B, facing a real IV5, the difference is only between defeat in 50 rounds and defeat in 100 rounds. Moreover, according to Liu's estimation, among the group of people surrounding him, there were at least 3 people with the number 3. There were only 2 of them on her side, so she didn't know Eugene's true strength, but based on the brief contact in the hospital, he was at least on par with her. 2 peak IV4s, fighting against so many people, would be very difficult to escape unscathed. However, this doubt had already been emphasized by Eugene when planning the deployment tonight. If I ask you to do it, do it. Don't be a coward. If you are asked to withdraw, just withdraw. Don't show off. With these 2 pieces of reassurance, Liu's nervousness was not so obvious. You really dare to do it? Terry glared at Eugene as if he was the biggest victim. He walked into my place with such arrogance and blatantly challenged me. This is the second time. Eugene admired the incompetence and rage of the short, frustrated old man, spread his hands and said with a smile, "You can make a fortune by gambling, but I can't." He imitated the other person's tone and almost made Terry angry and vomited blood. Those are not important anymore. Dix interrupted them. Dream gambling, since you are making such bold words, I can't ignore it. The man urged, hurry up and start your show. Eugene's mouth flattened. If you want to die in such a hurry, then I won't be polite. In that case, please ask Mr. Turley to lead the way. In this land of gold, there is still a little-known VVIP room. That's where Turley played his favorite, special gamble. In addition to betting huge amounts of money, the final winner can also get a wish. No matter what 1.3 is charged, the other party cannot refuse. Relying on playing with people's hearts and cheating. Turley has bankrupted countless people over the years and captured many beautiful women from each other. Boss Sao would call him an expert when he saw him. However, he never dreamed that the VVIP secret room that he was so proud of would one day lose control. Several people are sitting around this table, about to make a huge bet on the direction of billions of assets and human lives. But this time, Terry can no longer rely on collusion to cheat. He lost the winning reins in his hands and sat there like a puppet, uneasy. Opposite him, Eugene smiled and rubbed his palms. Today, his control over the power of the law is particularly solid. And that also means, what he faced was an unprecedented life and death crisis. 64 face-to-face NTR is the most comfortable. The winner lives, the loser dies. The rules are that simple. No one asked about the cause and effect, and no one blamed others. The moment I sat down at this gambling table, all I could think about was the desire to win. Up the chips. A watercolored black gold chip with a face value of 1 million. But here, it is transported by cart. The total amount of this bet between Eugene and Liu was 200 million. That's right, it's the 200 million that came from Telly. It was the 200 million that was used to delay Tsubaki's processing fees. As for their opponents, they naturally have to spend the same or even more money in gambling. At this juncture, there was no need for Terry to hide it anymore. He and Dix, 2 on each side, a total of 4 people participating, with a bet of 600 million. The elder brother takes the big head, and the younger brother takes the small head. This is a gambling battle worth 800 million on the surface, but on the inside, it determines the rise and fall of a large family clan and a business empire. Under the coercion of the fun man Dix, Terry failed to get the chance to flip the table, so he could only grit his teeth and actually participate in the game. The rules are naturally the standard gameplay of God of Gamblers. There are 2 cards at the beginning, one is the clear card and the other is the whole card. Then place bets and continue to deal the cards. You can follow the bets in each round. If you give up in the process, you will lose the 13 chips you have bet. In the end, the cards come to me and the outcome is determined by one shot. Everyone can just take a look at it, it's just random writing. Perhaps because there was only one table, the atmosphere in the venue was very serious. This made the beautiful dealer shuffling the cards tremble. Is this lady also Mr. Terry's lover? Humph, so what? Terry snorted angrily. Then, I'm attracted to her. Eugene made a surprising statement. Just in time, if I win you, my wish will be. Want all your women. You. A vein popped out on Terry's forehead. He could steal someone's wife, but when would it be someone else's turn to steal him? What the hell are you yelling at? Eugene sarcastically said, when you lose everything and you don't even have your underwear, do you still care about these women? There is a limit to being brainless. Puff. The beauty who was extremely nervous just now couldn't help but chuckle. She was originally a good woman, but because her husband was addicted to gambling, she lost to Terry. This old man is cute and talkative. He is not strong in kung fu, but he also likes to collect girls. He swallowed his saliva dryly and stared. After all these years, although the harem was well dressed and well fed, no one was of the same mind as him. Now, there is a rich and handsome man who is willing to speak up and prepared to save all the sisters, and he immediately feels warm in his heart. I wish I could immediately throw myself into their majestic arms. What is this called? N.T.R. in person. That's enough. Dix was not interested in the feud between the two. What he really wants to see is the way people abandon all dignity when they collapse. Deal the cards. It stands to reason that in the first round, everyone is safe. The chips also come in the form of small bets. But Dix doesn't care about those rules. Ask for 50 million. You know, the bets will increase every round. Everyone was stunned. If these 5 cards are full, wouldn't you have to press down all 200 million? It's really just a round of stud, right? Please, take care of the poor. Under Eugene's persuasion, Dix immediately reduced his chips to 20 million. But even so, by the end of the fight, the total amount will be infinitely close to 100 million. In short, there is going to be a ruthless wave. And, Eugene Yun Danfeng smiled softly, and at the same time gave Lu a look. If the cards are not good, stop the loss in time. And she obediently folded her cards in the second round, losing 20 million at once. But Eugene didn't care and let Dix dictate the direction of the card table. 1 to 4. Originally, if they had worked together, they could have relied on tactics to chip away at Eugene's chips, leaving him with nothing left to press. But unfortunately, Eugene's performance showed no sign of wavering at all. It seems that what he holds is the best combination. In the first round, 40 million. Second round, 60 million. Round 3. It's also the last opening round. 100 million. Sure enough, Dix's bet went straight to the top. If Eugene gives in, he will lose 50 million. Study, 100 million inches. Eugene exhaled through his nostrils and smiled magnanimously. Under pressure, the 2 passers-by had to quit in order to stop their losses, and naturally the 3 enemies left at the table were Terry, Dix, and Eugene. Open the cards. Terry slapped his palm hard. As a senior gambler, he still had some skills. 3 with 2, 66,688. This pairing would kill indiscriminately in an ordinary game. But Dix couldn't bear it when he saw Turley stealing the limelight. On his card were 3 4s. After turning over the whole cards, the last 4 was revealed. 4-4. Let me ask you if you will die. Open it. The blood and pleasure rushed to his forehead, and the man screamed like crazy. The people around him were led by him and began to boo. A small pair. Eugene throws a pair of 9s. The next second, another pair was thrown out. 2 small pairs, 4 9s. 9 questions. Are you convinced? Uh-huh. Terry felt his chest was so tight that he was about to fall back when his vision went dark. Dix, on the other hand, just curled his lips in displeasure and had no other reaction. Anyway, it's not his money, it's all Tully's money. Liu looked at the clattering chips like a small mountain and felt it was very unreal. He looked at Eugene, who was holding a lot of money in his arms, and felt that this guy was not collecting money but pretending to be cabbage. 100 million per person, plus the chips in the process, the total income is more than 300 million. Wouldn't it be so easy to make money? That's a billion. A top adventurer at level 5 or even level the 6th may not be able to collect 100 million even if he fights monsters in dungeons for a whole year. But here, Eugene, in just a few minutes, collected 300 million. How does this make her believe it? It's no wonder that Eugene dared to boast about Heiko, calling it, Dream Gambling 157. Not enough. Come again. Dix shouted, dissatisfied, and dragged everyone back to reality. Yes, it's not over yet. The chips in people's hands are far from being exhausted. Today, there are 80 million Lu and more than 100 million passers-by in heretics, which is relatively pitiful. According to the urinary properties of Gachangotix, they couldn't even make it through the first round. There was no other way. According to internal discussions, we could only withdraw and transfer the chips to our partners. Although it is unreasonable, no one cares about a mere 10 to 20 million. Although it's not official, since I won, these two will fulfill my wish, right? Eugene was unreasonable and pointed at the noses of the two people, making insidious remarks. Can you each answer one question? Just answer yes and no. If I'm not satisfied with the answer, you two won't survive. He leaned back and asked the most serious question in the most casual manner. At Warario, that's a bottom line that can't be touched. In addition to contacting the Icarus Familia, did Terry also call on the Dark Faction? Have you, your leader Dix, and Killer Valletta had any contact recently? Two sentences may be said lightly, but they carry a huge weight. Every word involves countless blood. Say it. Under Terry's horrified gaze and Dix's uncertain gaze, Eugene spoke. Yes, or no. 65. If you gouge out her eyes, I will chop off your hands first. Yes or no. There was thunder everywhere. It perfectly explained the mood of everyone in the venue. Because in the Dark Ages, people cannot forget the damage caused to this city by the members of the evil god faction's Familia. Today, colluding with dark factions is a heinous crime. Once implemented, it will be irreversible. And Eugene, in front of two big bosses, asked such an important question to two passers-by on such an occasion. It was simply full of drama. The dark faction leader killed De Valletta. This is the only move that Eugene currently cannot control. You cannot understand the behavior of a madman, you can only guess, but it is impossible to implement every step. So, in order to get the answer he wanted, Eugene went out of his way to knock on the mountain Junhu. By observing the reactions of those present, he can determine his own thoughts. What did you say? Terry's face turned pale for a moment, and he couldn't stop breaking out in cold sweat. How can you spit on someone so bloody? Even though the loser kept shaking his head, Terry's voice was still trembling, and Eugene's guess was obvious. Perhaps being at the top for a long time made Terry forget the difficult days. Now, even his acting skills have deteriorated, and he has become a person who has nothing but money. And soon, he will have no money at all. Dark faction. Liu also saw clearly what was strange about Terry. This guy had really come this far. Complete depravity. There was fire in her eyes, as if she wanted to eat Terry alive. But looking at Dix's side, he was not so moved. He glanced at his men with uncertain expressions, and then grinned. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't ask you either. Eugene immediately attacked. He stared straight at the passerby, his golden pupils shining with sharp light. Yes, or no. Passerby felt like he was sweating like a waterfall on his back. On one side was his murderous leader, and on the other was the rules on the gambling table. He couldn't decide for a moment. When people ask you, just answer honestly, what? Dix urged impatiently, and the man shook his head repeatedly as if he was being pardoned. No. There is a high probability that it is true. Eugene looked away. As a descendant of the Daedalus family, Dix rebelled and only did what he was interested in. The dark factions are different. They are followers of the evil god who enjoy disorderly destruction. They will not hesitate to die as long as the organization needs it. To be fair, Dix is a little better. After all, on the surface, the Icarus Familia can still live in Warario. However, you did not provoke those people. Your half-brother Barga is a true believer of the evil god. Even though he was playing with himself, Eugene didn't intend to let Dix go because of this. He glanced sideways at Terry. The old man seemed to have a little secret of his own, but it could only be a little secret. I've finished asking, and I'm very satisfied with the answer. Then let's continue. You are quite good at psychological warfare. Dix looked at Eugene, the interest in his red eyes became even stronger. He rubbed his hands excitedly and yelled at Terry for more chips. During this period, Dix looked at Lou with a serious expression. This miss doesn't seem to know how to play. Are you Eugene's helper? What benefits has he given you? Having seen through his disguise, Liu turned away indifferently and refused to speak to him. Tisk, boring. Dix thought about it and suddenly stood up. Ah, by the way, if the winner can respond. Then when I win, I want this woman's cold eyes, right? Liu's brows immediately furrowed, but before she was about to speak, Eugene asked jokingly. What do you want that thing for? Collect. What to dig for? By hand of course. Very good. Dix's words played into Eugene's hands. If I beat you, I'll need both of your hands, right? Exclamation mark, exclamation mark. He obviously said very bloody words in a very calm manner, but in Liu's eyes, Eugene's figure was so safe and reliable. Wow, you are miserable. You are in love. There was a faint sound of complaints in his ears, and Liu quickly shook his head to stay awake. I don't need you. Are you jealous of such beautiful eyes? Because of my own shortcomings. Eugene looked directly at Dix, who saw a shallow, D-shaped mark in his left eye. That is the proof of Daedalus, bloodline and the curse of his ancestors. It's what Dix hates most in his life. When he mentioned this, his face began to twist uncontrollably, and his originally handsome face became wrinkled. It seems that in the next second, some monster will break out from inside. Do you want to admit defeat? Eugene's provocation helped Dix, who was on the verge of breaking out, barely regain his senses. He sat down in silence. Until, a total of 500 million chips were placed in front of him and Terry. At this moment, Terry and Dix's total amount of money on hand has exceeded 1.2 billion. 1.2 billion is enough to buy a block in Orario. And now, such a huge wealth is concentrated on a small gambling table. Eugene has more than 400 million on hand. And Lou only has 80 million left. Question mark. I will automatically admit defeat and transfer all my chips to Eugene. If he loses, I will dig out my own eyes and give them to you. The elf girl's voice was clear and firm, full of amazing courage. And this courage was given to her by Eugene. Honey, I'm so touched. Eugene's expression and tone were exaggerated, and those who didn't know it thought he was being taken care of. So, let's get started. 3 pillars. This game will be the real ending. But just at this moment, the beautiful dealer, who was just fine a second ago, actually had his hands trembling and his whole body stiffened. She looked like she had lost her soul. Li Haojiao. Curse. Eugene and Liu realized it almost at the same time. It's going to be bad on the other side. Sure enough, a thin man stepped forward quickly and replaced the croupier. His fingers are long and slender, and his flexibility when cutting cards is obviously better. In this situation, if you want to cause trouble, you cannot rely on magic. Experts can sense the breath of magic. If it's a skill, you have to see if anyone here has the eyesight to see through it. Crash. The sound of playing cards is like a tidal wave. Finally, it was settled in front of everyone. Please place your bet. This time, Dix was still first. The atmosphere is here, we can't restrain our hands, right? 20 million. Scratch. A small mountain of black gold chips poured onto the table. Eugene rubbed the trump card with a bright smile. No problem. FXer. 66 come. Give everyone the whole job. Telly who likes to collect main and girls. 1.7 billion, this is already a very astonishing number. The Loki Familia, one of the most powerful familia in Orario, has a total capital of 2 billion. Whenever there is a large-scale event such as a family expedition, where everyone participates, they often spend all their money, and in the end they are reluctant to even buy a high-grade magic sword worth tens of millions. Adventurers are still the working class after all. You have to admire those vampires who make a lot of money in any world. Is this what it feels like? Eugene was a little dazed at the moment. He felt that the current situation was a bit like God of Gamblers versus Chu Shaoqi. Isn't it just stud? Who is afraid of whom? Anyway, when you break it down, it's all Telly's money. Not a dime belongs to Eugene and Dix. Thinking of this, Eugene almost laughed out loud. This old man was publicly executed. It was really miserable. However, if it is only 1.6 billion, it is far from a full net worth. In the original plot, Liu went to the meeting alone and exposed Terry's true identity. In order to avoid being chased, the latter ran into the vault in the basement. That is the true foundation of Terry. I'm afraid less than half of what's on this table is still there. So, at this juncture, where did more than half of the assets go? Eugene's lips curled up slightly. Please, dear girls. On the other side, above a towering lighthouse. Chloe, who is wearing a black cloak and has an attractive waistline, has lavender fluorescent eyes. Found it. At the end of her locked sight was an extremely secretive small port. There were piles of oversized cargo boxes. Call. As he breathed, the slender figure on the lighthouse turned into black mist. In an alley not far from the port, Chloe recited the incantation with satisfaction. A brand new shadow clone was formed from the darkness. This is the new magic she acquired. Based on her original shadow clone magic, she can perform connected chanting. 420. In other words, the effectiveness of magic can be improved on the original basis. Now, her clone is not only able to move freely over a long distance but also has an entity. One person suddenly becomes two, with the same mind and heart, making it difficult to distinguish between true and false. If you advance, your combat power will be doubled. If you retreat, you will be a life-saving weapon. It can't be said that he is not strong. Next to Kamui, Noroa, wearing a thick leather jacket and a pair of brand new fighting gloves, was also eager to try. She is not gifted with magic, but with Eugene's help, she has finally acquired a powerful magic. It's really impossible to escape the boss's plan. Nova struck her fists together, making a crisp metallic sound. Okay, let's start working. I've heard for a long time that Mr. Turley has two capable men around him. This time, I didn't show up. Eugene glanced half-jokingly. And Terry, as if he was talking about the central issue, remained sullen and did not answer. Licensing. The croupier, who looked very questionable, steadily pushed out the cards one after another. His movements are very slow and give people a smooth feeling. Most people would find it difficult to imagine that he would cause trouble at this stage. But everyone here is clear in their hearts. This guy will definitely cause trouble. Liu's eyes never left those slender hands, and his green eyes were like a bottomless cold pool. Under her cold gaze, the dealer couldn't help but sweat. He knew that the beauty in men's clothing in front of him was not easy to mess with. So far, I have not dared to act rashly. Add. Deeks shouted loudly, attracting everyone's attention. Another 200 million. It's just the second round of dealing, and the bonus has already reached 400 million. If you go further, you can only go all in. BDAD. Follow. Eugene was too lazy to push the chips. Hundreds of chips almost covered people up. It is worth noting that Terry rarely showed a proud look. It seems that he has been dealt a good hand. Don't stop, keep going. The wealthy man who had always been passive spoke to urge him. And the dealer had no choice but to follow the instructions and take action. But at this moment, something unexpected happened. Poof! The sound of a sharp weapon piercing the human body spread to the ears of everyone present. From the back of the crowd, there was an angry and shrill howl, perhaps seeking revenge or something else, but it was difficult to see clearly because of the human wall. Everyone stopped what they were doing and looked back. But what he got in the end was an ambiguous response. Humph, it's just a little bug, keep going. The croupier seemed to be frightened, his breathing was a little rapid, and his lips were a little white. As before, he pushed out everyone's cards smoothly. But just when the flimsy poker was about to reach Eugene, Liu takes action. When her figure was as fast as the wind, and at a speed that no one present could see clearly, she stabbed a short knife into the dealer's palm. Gah, here are the real bugs. Liu opened the croupier's fingers little by little and pulled out the prop hidden under his palm. Her expression was cold and murderous. It made the air on the table become cold. Please, spare me. Spare me. Liu didn't give him a chance to scream. He twisted the short sword and completely destroyed the hand. She pulled away the dealer, who was about to faint from pain, and stood in front of the pile of cards. Next, I'll send it. Without waiting for anyone to object, Liu threw the short knife into the middle of the table. If anyone can see the problem, take this hand. Silence fell. Even all kinds of crazy people were shocked by the heroic woman in front of them. Ha ha ha, you are such a good woman. Dix applauded repeatedly. At the same time, the fierce light in his eyes became more intense. I want to fix those eyes. Licensing. Liu silently pushed out the cards. Now it's the fourth card, and Eugene hasn't seen his whole card yet. His card is JQK with a red heart. If there is another 10, there is a strong trend of a flush. But at the gambling table, wishes often cannot come true. Add another 100 million. Terry gritted his teeth and insisted. 500 million. The all-powerful detective Lei Luo of Hong Kong Island has all his net worth here. And so, the fifth card slid out smoothly. Terry held the deck of cards tightly, looking nervous and expectant. The time has finally come. Eugene picked up the card and turned it over easily. 10 of hearts. 10 JQK of the same color, only one whole card left. If that card is the ace of hearts, Eugene will activate the legendary, royal flush. The winning combination that countless gamblers dream of. Well, it's really confusing. Under the nervous gaze of countless people, Eugene hesitated for a moment and picked up the whole card. He stacked the cards together and slowly slid them down. Only a very small corner was exposed, and then it was put down again. The smile at the corner of his mouth is no longer natural. And Terry and Dix got feedback at the same time. Behind the crowd, use the hidden mirror in the hall. People have confirmed that Eugene's trump card is that corner. Is black, not the ace of hearts. Downgrading from a royal flush to a royal flush. It means heaven falls to hell. Not to mention 4 cards, even 3 and 2 are invincible. Hee hee, ha 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 ha. Terry stood up suddenly and pushed the pile of chips inward, looking crazy. All in. Your fate is decided by me. Dix, on the other hand, was admiring Eugene's no longer calm expression. He was looking forward to the contrast between falling from a high place, losing control, and finally falling into madness and despair. Open the cards. Open the cards. As Terry laughed wildly, all the villains present began to shout. All kinds of sarcasm and abuse filled the gorgeous hall, as if the devil was coming to the world. Kr. Lu's jade hands clenched tightly. This was the first time she saw such an expression on Eugene's face. That kind of indifferent and helpless expression. Failed. She couldn't imagine it, but I have to believe it. This is the gambling table, heaven 1 second, hell the next. Snapped. With a ferocious look on his face, Terry slammed the deck of cards on the table. 99,998. Just ask if you are strong. I have 4 numbers, I won't beat your straight to death. Facing him with the same cards as Eugene and completing the decisive victory, Terry's mood was as high as the clouds at this time, it was so happy. Tisk, damn uncle. Dix threw 3 7s and a pair of 6s. It is also a very strong card, known as the House of Reds, with 4 cards. But it's still better than a straight of a different color. Come on, don't you dare. Where's that momentum you have under control? Show me that damn smile again. Ahahaha. Countless ridicules and applause were overwhelming, and Liu looked at the motionless Eugene, frowning. She wanted to comfort this man and tell him that he still had someone to rely on. If the bet doesn't work out, then fight. And at the moment Liu wanted to take action. Eugene suddenly coughed violently, as if something was stuck in his throat. That posture is confusing. Oh. A small object fell in the middle of the table. Huh, it's so dangerous. Eugene let out a long breath. I almost got killed by it. It was a short black wooden skewer, the kind used to insert fruits. For safety, its tip is thick and blunt. It looks like. Silence fell. Be it Terry, Deeks, or Liu, everyone present had the same stunned expression. That's like the corner of the ace of spades. I'm sorry for taking so long. Eugene picked up the trump card and waved it. I really don't like spoilers in advance. His hands waved lightly. The cards flew lightly through the air. Immediately, there was an extremely heavy response in the crowd. That is the small gold that represents 17. When converted into currency, it is enough to fill this hall with the echo of wealth. It is gold and silver jewelry, luxury and enjoyment, delicacies for beauties, and the echo of people's sweet dreams. Ace of Hearts. 10 JQKA, all red. 649,740 over 1, 0.000154%. Today, it is impossible for others. It fell into the hands of the man who controlled the rope of fate. 67. Why don't you just have fun with me here? Men's clothing. Dead silence. The bright red color of the royal flush is reflected in everyone's eyes. People have forgotten to even breathe. It was clearly determined, and there was no chance of Eugene coming back. But after boasting about Heiko, what he got was such a loud slap in the face. Liu was surprised, happy and angry. She really believed what Eugene had said previously. It was even a second away from a big fight. But this bad man, just at the moment when everything was about to settle, everything turned around. From a loser to a crushing winner. Impossible, this is impossible. Terry's breathing was rapid, his chest was rising and falling, black clouds were covering his eyes, and there was a buzzing sound in his head. His short and fat body fell backwards into the seat with a plop. The blood on his face that had risen with joy quickly faded away, and within a few breaths, his hair began to turn white visibly. 1.7 billion. Fantastic numbers. In just a short period of time, everything was lost. In front of his eyes, he recalled every bit of his journey along the way, countless ups and downs, joys, angers, sorrows, and joys, all of which faded away like the ebbing tide. The despair brought about by the cliff-like drop was simply suffocating. The arrogant Dix was also completely shocked by this reversal. All he wants is to seek pleasure and abuse. The curse of blood keeps him trapped in the dreamland of the man-made maze. In order to vent his dissatisfaction, he tortured his opponents to death again and again, and pinned all his revenge on his ancestors. Eugene is the one he has high hopes for. I originally expected that this guy who dared to single-handedly challenge a big man who was countless times more powerful than himself, and easily manipulated the two forces between his palms, would be able to let out a pleasant scream when he fell like the people in the past. But Eugene did this to him. It shattered all Dick's expectations and made him become that blind clown. In the past days, the leader of the Icarus Familia has never failed, showing absolute violence and authority. Now he is looking at that straight flush with a livid face, unable to say a word. He was the one who caused trouble, and he was the one who was embarrassed in the end. And it was he who was angry about this. Isn't it almost enough to install wood? Eugene's smiling voice broke the silence. His eyes were shining and his expression was gentle, but his words were so ruthless. I accepted the money without ceremony. As for the wish, as I said before, I won't ask for more. He pointed at Terry, who had a malicious look on his face, and Dix, who had a frown on his face. Your women, and your two hands. His attitude and posture were exactly the same as when he was asked before. Yes or no? KYY. In the air, invisible hostility is taking shape. Surrounded by a group of madmen, Eugene and Liu seemed to be overwhelmed by dark clouds. And Dix, who was in the center, had red eyes and a sword-like gaze directed towards Eugene. They consider themselves tigers and play with an arrogant dog to give him face and to enjoy the process of torture. But when the dog defeats the tiger in the game, it will lose control because of the imposed shame and choose to attack the dog with claws and claws. Snapped. Dix stood up with a sneer, his body weight pressing down on the gaming table. With level 5 strength, with just one click, the entire solid wood table and billions of chips can be tilted up. Playing with you, do you really think you are the master? PFF'd, Eugene couldn't help laughing when he heard this D talking. You don't have a bad number, and you are the one who thinks you are the master, right? Looking at you like this, you are not convinced. Eugene slowly stood up, his hands slowly moved towards the sharply tilted gaming table, and he pressed down steadily. Boom. To everyone's surprise, as the undoubted strongest player in the field, the edge of the table that Dix was pressing up was actually pushed back down by Eugene on the opposite side, making a heavy sound on the floor. It was obvious that Eugene's power had the upper hand at that moment. Exclamation mark! Dix's eyes widened and the corners of his mouth twitched, not knowing whether to roar or laugh wildly. He didn't expect that Eugene was so powerful. The moment the opponent exerted force, Dix reacted. He wanted to resist, but was suppressed instantly. This kid is not simple. It seems like it's hard to be kind today, huh? In that case, I should say it, right? Eugene watched Dix slowly leave the gaming table and walk step by step to the center of the hall, surrounded by his minions. As for Terry, sensing that the atmosphere around him was on the verge of breaking out, he didn't pretend to be paralyzed. His bloated body got up and he was about to run away. But as soon as he took a step, he was kicked in the stomach by Liu, and he rolled 3 feet away, spurting blood. Trident Murray, you have lived a very happy life these past few years. Liu's voice was cold, approaching step by step under Todo's horrified gaze. Please give me flowers. Who are you? Todo had bleeding from his mouth and nose, broken ribs, and could not stand up. Lu's brows furrowed with a frosty look on his face. At that time, you were like this too, asking for help in front of Lady Australia. You spared your life by sacrificing your dignity, but you have no intention of regretting it. She covered her mouth and nose with her beautiful hands, leaving only her cold eyes looking at garbage exposed. And Tado, the moment he saw those features clearly, he was immediately swallowed up by memories of the past. That was the most unforgettable experience in his life, and the closest to death. If not for the mercy of the goddess of justice, he would have been killed on the spot by the followers of the goddess of justice. And the woman dressed in men's clothing standing in front of him was surprisingly. You are, Hayate, Liu. Impossible. Didn't you all die 5 years ago? 0. During the fight against the dark sect 5 years ago, the family of the goddess of justice fell into a trap, and only one person survived. After that, she abandoned justice and embarked on a journey of revenge without a bottom line. I can no longer claim to be righteous. But you have trampled on that gentleman's mercy, and I will never tolerate it. The person standing in front of you today is not an apostle of justice but an avenger. Lu's fists were clenched tightly, and his eyes were filled with fire. She raised her arms high to punish this desperate man. Dix, help me. Boom. Liu's falling fist was blocked by a swift and tough arm. It was a hot Amazon woman with brown skin and fiery red hair. She looked at Liu with extremely greedy eyes. Hayate, right. There is an 80 million bounty on your head, I want your head. Ha. Seeing his men easily restraining Liu, Dix's expression finally softened. He was about to deliver the standard villain lines. But before the little ones could even speak out, reality slapped him hard. Boom. I saw Eugene pulling out a slender wooden sword that exuded the luster of jade from nowhere, and without any martial arts, he struck the Amazon woman in the middle with a powerful and heavy blow from the wind. Puff. The Amazon screamed, and his side ribs were completely dented. He flew backwards, 3 liters of blood spurted out in midair, and finally became as silent as a dead dog. You want your mother. Eugene tugged on his tie and turned his hand. He had a cloak made of Goliath leather and Liu's exclusive weapons. All right. His smile grew crazier. Come and fight Nai. 68 Niu Niu Gen Gen Fist. Niu Niu Deep Roar Cannon. If you can't do literature, let's do martial arts. Do you really think that if you have too many people, you are just a piece of cake? Let's fight. Eugene laughed wildly, not giving the other party any chance to react. He shook his hand back sharply, and below his wrist, a circle of blazing pure white light began to expand. The raging magic power gathers and burns. Ignite 1/10 of your physical strength and magic power, and use a little trick to clear the place. His arm was shaking with huge magic power. After the upgrade, his overall strength soared. Correspondingly, the power of magic has also increased to a higher level. Unlimited output. Imitating Whitebeard's seismic punch, a shock wave powerful enough to destroy several meters of rock formations in the underground city erupted. Eugene named it Niu Niu Gen Gen Fist. Boom. A tsunami-like light curtain blocked the field of vision, and violent vibrations swept everything forward. Dix looked horrified. He didn't even have time to issue an evacuation order before the huge shock wave had already hit him. In just half a second, everyone around him was covered. In an instant, the splendid hall was filled with smoke and 600. This blow caused the entire building to shake, and countless masonry debris fell like rain. Too fast, too strong. After Liu raised his blocking arm, his expression was extremely shocked. She couldn't believe that such powerful magic was instantaneous. Today she had her first glimpse of Eugene's methods. I was mentally prepared, but I was still surprised. If it were herself, she might be able to do this. But that requires a long period of chanting, as well as using all the physical strength and magic power in one breath, and using it with the intention of deciding between life and death. She subconsciously thought that output on such a scale must be very energy-consuming. I was about to ask Eugene if he needed help. As soon as his eyes turned over, he froze again. I saw Eugene's arms tensed and crossed in front of him, his throat glowing, and his eyes widening. He was like a tiger ready to attack, a giant lizard ready to spit out its long tongue. The magic power on the body's surface rises wantonly, and just the breath that escapes is already terrifying. And no one could predict how powerful the attack he was accumulating would be. Hey! Liu was completely dumbfounded. Does this guy have any tricks? Duh. Eugene's mouth, nose, and ears overflowed with azure light, and streaks of light like fireflies converged toward his mouth. Charge for 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds. Relying on the huge chaos caused by the shock fist, he was able to leisurely accumulate power for a long time. Black Goliath's giant breath, the longer it is charged, the more powerful it becomes. I hope the house won't be blown down all at once. Eugene complained in his heart, but he was very honest and kept building up his strength. I don't care what you say, let's clean up the ground first. Finally, after a full 10 seconds, the wave of smoke and dust that was forcibly stirred up calmed down slightly. And the embarrassed figure of Dix also appeared from it. His clothes were torn and his arms were dripping with blood. It seemed that he had withstood the shockwave attack with his IV-5 body. But even he was seriously injured, let alone those miscellaneous fish who didn't even have IV-4. The gangsters who had previously gathered together to fight fiercely were now all staggering and buried in the rubble, not knowing whether to live or die. There were 3 or 5 people who could barely support the body from falling down. They are all top IV-2 and IV-3 adventurers. And this was also expected by Eugene. As its name suggests, Junjun Fist only focuses on shaking and nothing else. Of course, the output is not as good as other ultimate moves. However, if you can't knock it down with one shot, then try another one. Dix's eyes widened and he looked in shock at Eugene, whose magic power surged all over his body. This posture is coming again. No F************ G martial ethics. I didn't even take out my weapon. Lost in endless fantasy. Dix made a prompt decision and raised his hand to release his magic, madness. This is a mental attack that can plunge a large group into chaos and attack indiscriminately. If placed on the battlefield, it is very useful. But with a wall-mounted device like Eugene's, you don't even have a chance to use it. Giant breath. Roar. A blue wave of light stirred the air, like a tornado heading towards the opposite side. The terrifying sound wave decibels directly covered up Dix's singing, just in case the storm hand was broken and called for help. The giant's breath, which moves at the speed of sound at Mach, carrying elements such as sound waves, magic power, air pressure, etc., erupts from Eugene's mouth. At that moment, how arrogant Dix used to be, how desperate he is now. Scored twice. Boom. The huge casino where the aftershocks have not subsided is the top of Wolfland again. This time, it finally failed to support itself. Starting from the farthest end, it continued to collapse until half of the wall was in ruins. This is not a simple house explosion, but a building explosion, and even close to a street explosion. A huge mansion was easily demolished to pieces by Eugene. Wow, the effect is very good. Eugene exhaled a long breath of hot breath, and he felt as if his throat and mouth had been burned by fire. After all, Black Goliath's physical strength is much stronger than him. Using level 5 magic at level 2 is still such a powerful type, so naturally it is a bit overwhelming. However, with resistance sharing and super speed regeneration, his ability to withstand pressure is not limited. This small injury can be healed in just one breath. This is probably the first time I have used this body to fight. Eugene admired his victory in front of him and tilted his head with his hands on his hips, very satisfied. Quote exclamation mark question mark question mark question mark quote. And Liu next to him was alone and messy in the wind. Is this completely destroyed? Is it over after 2 shots of magic? Looking at it like this, no one can stand up no matter what, right? The same was true for the previous gambling. Apart from giving away money, she had no chance to make a move. Then, what is the point of following me? Don't worry, Eugene pointed forward as if telepathically. Don't underestimate IV 5 inches. The game is not over yet, the boss still has some blood skin left. His voice was teasing, and Liu immediately looked warily into the center of the smoke. There, an extremely angry voice tore through the dust. Kill, I will definitely. I saw a khaki figure stepping out, finally holding a spear in his hand. His steps were shaky, and his clothes were in tatters. Except for the cloth strips on his upper body, even his underwear was torn, which made him look like a movie star. It's Dix. His body was covered with fine wounds torn apart by his breath. Blood and soil mixed into mud and covered the surface of his body, making him look extremely miserable. But compared to the burnt gran, it was already considered intact. Not bad, not bad. I'm really lucky that you can persevere. Eugene was not afraid of trouble and applauded continuously, which made Dix even more furious. But the more passionate he was, the greater the amount of bleeding on his body. Even if they are all skin injuries, the number and area cannot be tolerated. Dix held his spear with difficulty, his eyes were filled with hatred, and there was no longer any contempt. He raised his palm again, and the dark red light on his fingertips flashed, intending to use madness magic. Upon seeing this, Eugene took a step forward and ignited a pure white light in his hand. He hooked his arms and pulled Liu into his arms. Ha, ha, Liu's eyes widened and her shoulders stiffened. The familiar masculine scent enveloped her again. This time, the elf's instinct still refused. But as a woman, she felt particularly at ease when she felt Eugene's steady heartbeat and looked at his perfect jawline. 3.5. Eugene's fingers pointed forward. With instant magic, he can interrupt the opponent's singing at any time. But just when Eugene was about to shoot out the magic blast, Dix turned his finger and pointed it at himself. Get lost in endless fantasy. Just this once, I won't look back until the end. My name is Fuberter Daedalus. Zila. Black lightning burst out from his fingertips and hit Dix directly on his forehead. Damn it, can it still be used like this? Eugene never thought that this guy's crazy transformation could be used for himself. The next second, before his eyes, Dix's expression gradually collapsed. All the malicious hatred and intentional murderous intent penetrated through the skin and climbed onto the face that turned into a monster. Countless disgusting lines clung to his body, and veins were crawling under his skin like earthworms. His entire figure grew taller, and the muscles on his body also swelled suddenly. Completely transformed into a ferocious monster. Roar! He threw his head back and roared, letting out a howl that was not human-like. The demon slayer finally became a demon. 69. If you don't work well, you will be bitten easily. There is a limiter in the human body. People with poor physical strength can burst out with incredible strength when faced with a life or death crisis. And Dix's magic is exactly this principle. At the cost of giving up reason, tap into your full potential. The speed and strength are greatly improved, and it can ignore minor damage for a short time. Compared with the strengthening of dungeon monsters, it is even more powerful. Recovered, no, the momentum is even higher than before. In the face of a powerful enemy, Liu no longer had any thoughts about her little daughter. Her eyes were solemn, and a level 5 player could fend off 3 level 4 adventurers at the same time, even gaining the upper hand. And Dix's current state is stronger than before. It's my fault, I'm a bit of a wolf. Eugene is no longer undisciplined. In his opinion, Dix used his hidden ultimate skill so quickly because he was afraid of his own magic. 2 shots in a row, it's already so bluffing. Who knows how many more times Eugene can use it. Dix can only choose to close up and attack quickly for a quick victory. Roar! Dix's throat rolled, and his aura boiled. Eugene considered in his mind that the oppressive feeling given to him by the monster in front of him was no longer inferior to that of Black Goliath. 13. If the Black Giant is specialized in strength and durability, then Dix is all specialized in strength, speed, and durability. And his weapon is a spear with a bleeding curse. Overall, it is even harder to deal with than Black Goliath. However, Eugene is no longer what he used to be. His panel is no longer as exaggerated as when all attributes exploded at IV1. But the improvement in overall strength is beyond doubt. Overall, there is pressure, but not overwhelming. Remember the point I made. Eugene's voice was calm. He had already emphasized the key points of the battle to Liu and the others the day before, which naturally included the opponent's ability. No problem. Liu set up the wooden sword. The weapon looked simple, but it was actually made from the branches of the sacred tree of the elf forest. It was also an excellent secondary weapon. Very good. Eugene stretched out his hand and touched her forehead. This time, the infinite light seemed very gentle. Infinite ways to use it, including guarding. Condensate pure magic power into layers, gathering together and never scattering. Because it is essentially magic, it can resist a magic attack or an unexpected damage. The inspiration for this move comes from the Quen seal in the wizard. Duration, 1 minute. Bring it on. He invited Dix, whose muscles were stretched to the limit and his mind was stretched to the limit, to fight. Decide the winner within 1 minute. Call. Both sides merged into the air at the same time, and the next moment, they collided in midair. Liu's arms were numb from the shock. Her strength attribute was only E, which was not suitable for a frontal attack. After just one encounter, Dix picked him up and flew him away. But being confrontational is not her thing. After the feint, come the heavy attack. Eugene ignored the elf girl who flew out and appeared directly in front of Dix, holding his hands high and holding the air. Was he going to hit the opponent with both hands? But at this distance, he couldn't hit the opponent at all. If it was the usual Dix, he might have foreseen the clues. However, he was so angry that he could only move forward. It is majestic to move forward courageously, but at the same time you must accept all resistance. Possessed. Eugene removed another tuft of hair from the cow. Because there was no eternal prefix attached, it only gave him half a second of super amplification. But this fleeting, explosive improvement was exactly what Eugene needed. His face tightened, and the void above his hands fluctuated. At the moment it fell, a huge axe flashing with cold light suddenly appeared. Cheng Yaojin's three-blade axe split his forehead. Buzz. A fatal crescent moon wrapped in purple flames was drawn in the air. Boom. Dix reacted quickly and raised his gun to block. But when this blow fell, it was like a huge boulder pressing down on him. The powerful force was unstoppable, and it split the barrel of his gun directly, causing him to kneel on the ground with a roar. Call. While the opponent was still confused, Eugene flipped his palms and leaned forward, approaching the opponent's inner circle. The shadow of the giant axe disappeared immediately, replaced by a machete pointed directly at the opponent's throat. That is Gran's exclusive weapon. Enchanted again. Eugene lit Mau Mau on fire without mercy, his eyes filled with purple magic light. His movements changed again. Within the helpless range of the spear, he picked up the machete with both hands and tried to take Dix's head with a horizontal slash. Crack! Large amounts of blood spattered as the blade struck, and a bloodshot red ear flew into the air. Ouch! Dix tilted his head sharply to avoid the vicious blow, but still lost his ear. During this short process, his eyes were always fixed on Eugene. Look at your dad, Eugene muttered silently and raised his arm while slashing horizontally. The palm of his hand is filled with bright light, and there is another infinite shot. Dix's face looked horrified. He had seen the power of this move before, and raised his hand to clamp Eugene's hand and interrupt his spell casting. But just as his hand was about to exert force, it was bounced away by an attack from the side. It's Liu. Her strength is poor, but her speed and agility are both A-level. The moment he was knocked away, he adjusted his body shape and quickly returned to the battlefield. Finally at this moment, I found an opportunity to intervene. Oh, Eugene's lips curled up slightly. Infinite is instant, there is no hardness. He was just trying to create a sense of participation for Liu. Strategies for girls, always be the king. Consume 1/10 of your physical strength and magic power, unlimited. But just when Eugene was about to complete the killing blow against Dix, this guy opened his mouth desperately and bit into Eugene's palm with such momentum that it even tore both sides of his mouth. Damn it. Eugene still lacks experience in fighting, and for this kind of madman, he inexplicably reminded him of zombie movies. Out of fear of unclean things, the hand that was ready to strike shrank back an inch by some strange mistake. And it was this half-second of retreat that gave Dix room to survive. His knees suddenly bounced up, the muscles in his legs and feet exploded with strength, and his body seemed to be equipped with a catapult, leaping straight upwards. Snap! A kite turned over and landed firmly on the ceiling. Forehead. Eugene glanced at Liu slightly embarrassed, and Miss Elf's eyebrows were full of disgust. Are you still afraid of dog bites when you are so fierce? Eugene couldn't explain it to her. After all, there were no zombies in the other world. The violent breathing above their heads brought their attention back. 400. Dix, who was hanging upside down from the ceiling, was covered in sweat and breathing rapidly. Whether it was the life and death crisis just now or his overloaded body, they all made him feel uncomfortable. But he knew better that if he didn't kill Eugene and Liu here, he would never have peace. He thought he had just been beaten by surprise. Otherwise, any one of these two people picked out at random would be no match for him. The congestion in his eyes became more serious, but Dix did not flinch and prepared to eat again. But at this moment, Eugene raised his palm slightly, and the energy that had not yet been emitted gathered into a ball of light. We can't waste it. He smiled and stretched out his hand, pointing at Dix. Call. A snow-white beam of light shot towards the roof. It penetrated the thick floor slab like tofu. Dix tried his best and managed to escape before the beam hit him. He landed from behind the two of them without stopping, and shot out like a missile seeking the enemy. But he didn't expect that what he greeted was not the body, but a sun. Yes. In this hall, which was half exposed to the night sky, a sun actually rose out of thin air. Consume 1/20th of your physical strength and magic power. Eugene and Liu closed their eyes tightly. The next moment, an indescribably hot and dazzling light expanded from the center. Wherever the light shines, even the shadows are eliminated, and even the outlines of everything are dissolved. The true light of destruction. This move is the most versatile move in Dragon Ball. There are no blind spots in all directions. It can scare the Earth's soldiers at a small level, but it can blind the Emperor of the Universe, Frieza. Sun Punch. 70. You will pay for your sins with your blood. Liu's magic, Wind of Light. Release energy in the form of a pure light source, blinding the opponent's eyes with one breath. The more output, the stronger the light. Once caught, even King Frieza, who raised his hand to destroy the stars, would have to cover his face obediently. Tianjin Rice, Krillin, Wukong, Cell, all the ones I have used say they are good. To deal with opponents who are stronger than you, this is simply a hard control move and a magical escape technique. Eugene's hand made people's eyes widen, thinking about Dix rushing towards him, and what it meant to blind a 24K titanium alloy dog's eyes. Eyes are one of the most dependent organs of human beings. Once you become blind in an instant, you will lose control of your body and mind. This is why flash bombs are very suitable for attacking first. However, the flash bomb used by Eugene was a bit too exaggerated. A pure white field was opened up under the darkness of night, and the light beam broke through the darkness and reached the sky. He had this idea in his previous infinite use. Only this time, it was the first time it was used in actual combat. Outstanding effect. Listening to the screams from behind, Eugene knew that Dix had completely lost his sight at this time. Because of this sudden blindness, he is falling into chaos. If you don't come now, when will you wait? He gave Liu a gesture, and the two looked at each other, each surrounding Dix from the left and right. Liu's movements were relatively swift, so he naturally continued to perform the task of roaming and harassing. And Eugene, maintain his own style, look for opportunities, and decide the outcome. Call. Liu waved the wooden sword with both hands, and the stars on the cloak were dotted. Her nickname is Blast, and her steps are as brisk as walking on the wind. No, she actually flew. Not relying on any skills of jumping on the ground, but using the natural affinity with the wind, he floated in Kongchen. The forest sky that is now far away. The infinite stars inlaid in the infinite night sky. The light chanting began, and layers of warm and active magic shone on Liu's body. She kept spinning and leaping around Dix, who had lost his sense of direction, sometimes striking with a long-handled wooden sword, and sometimes making dangerous cuts with the tachi worn at her waist. He didn't want to cause harm to Dix, he just wanted to slow him down. No one can adapt to the feeling of losing vision within a few seconds. Even IV5 needs a long time to adjust. What's more, Eugene has already cut off one of his ears. There are only continuous chanting sounds in my ears, symphony with the wind spirits that seem to come from all directions at the same time. Dix roared wildly, but got no response. He waved his spear in shock and rage on the spot, and the bloody spear tip passed through countless arcs in the air, forming an inaccessible range. But neither Liu nor Eugene had any intention of engaging in close combat with him. Who is willing to work hard to fight for blood when he can be a master and just sit back and watch his opponent collapse? Answer the voice of foolishness like mine, and give me the protection of the spark again. To the one who abandoned you is the light and compassion. Come, wandering wind, wandering traveler. Flying across the sky, racing through the wilderness, running at a speed faster than anything else. Conquering the enemy with the brilliance of the stars. More and more intense magical radiance gathered on Liu's body, her expression was solemn, and countless small and large light balls emerged from the air. Go for it. Ryu stretched her arms magnificently towards the monster that symbolized evil. Wind of light. Countless light points behind him turned into meteors, bombing towards Dix. Boom boom boom. Dix sensed the crisis and jumped continuously on the ground to escape in embarrassment. Sometimes he would wave his spear to deflect the incoming magic shock. But Liu's magic is different from Eugene's. It can be released in one go, or it can be continuously output in the form of ground-washing bombing. This method is not bad, I got new inspiration. Eugene is standing in a corner, his eyebrows raised. At this moment, Dix's movements suddenly changed. He no longer ran away blindly, and the accuracy of the spear in his hand became increasingly higher. It's the left eye. The bloodline of Daedalus, whom he hated, actually saved him at this critical moment and began to restore his eyesight little by little. Time is up. Eugene took steps silently. In this din, the noise he made was almost negligible. Ha! Azure light emitted from his mouth and nose, and hot, compressed magic power brewed in his throat. Giant's breath, 10 seconds to charge up. Exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark. Dix's back felt like ice was stuck on him, and a magical aura that made his hair stand on end appeared within his range of perception. As his footsteps moved, every muscle and every cell had the idea of escape. But even an IV-5 adventurer can't beat this roar. Boom! A circle of vacuum ripples swept through the sky. In the middle of the huge circle, blood spurted out from Dix's ears and nose, like a powerless kite that was caught in the storm and flew out upside down. Every part of the skin on his body was chapped, and blood poured out like nothing, and was instantly ground into a blood-colored mist by the wind. Boom! The fierce monster rubbed a deep ravine on the ground, and half of its body was buried in the earth and rocks. Then it stopped. Eugene walked forward slowly. Behind him, half of the ruins still exude an aura of extravagance and gold. In front of him, there was already ruins. Dix, who had one eye and one ear, one arm twisted backwards, and bloodstains all over his body, still tried to stand up. But just as he struggled to stand up, Eugene's fingertips lit up with white light, and he waved in the air. A pair of knees, instantly shattered. Gah! The man, whose whole body was racked by pain, watched Eugene approach little by little, but was helpless. He was even wearing a complete dress suit. How does it feel? Eugene asked for no reason. If you want to kill, hurry up. Dix's mouth trembled, but he couldn't say a harsh word in the end. He is in terrible pain now. It can be said that he has never experienced such pain since he was born. From the inside out, it almost tears the soul apart. In addition to the injuries, there was also the backlash of the mad magic. Any power comes with a price. Does it hurt? Compared to those talking monsters, what you taste is just a little bit. His words stunned Dix. After a moment, an incredible smile appeared on his lips. Is it because of this? This guy turned this place upside down and seriously injured himself to death. Is this what he did? Let him experience the pain that those beasts experienced. You crazy person. Your brain is broken. We are humans. We are adventurers. What's wrong with killing two monsters? Dix roared unwillingly. He didn't understand why Eugene would judge him from the perspective of a heretic. Eugene was silent for a moment. Your engraving is mine, and my engraving is still mine. His body shape changed rapidly, and under Dix's shocked gaze, he changed his appearance. A ferocious and burly Tauren appears in front of you. No, this is fake. Dix's eyes trembled. He seemed to want to say something. But Eugene won't waste any more time. PFF'd. He raised his hand to summon a machete and easily cut off Dix's limbs. Ah! The scream made Liu couldn't help but turn his head. Eugene's voice was hoarse and heavy. You will repay violence with pain. He stretched out his finger and grabbed Dix's only eye under his horrified gaze. You will repay your arrogance with your eyes. Finally, he grabbed Dix's hair and finished his opponent with a neat beheading. Blood flows like a waterfall. You will pay for your sins with your blood. No matter how much evil you have committed, you will never lose much love. Eugene picked up the head filled with fear, looked at it with satisfaction, and then put it into the system space server. Ringing the 12 o'clock bell, he turned back into the handsome man full of mystery. All right, the debt here has been collected. Eugene looked back to the deepest corner, with a cruel light shining in his eyes. There, Terry's face was as pale as paper, and his soul was about to fly away. Now you, 71 Terry, don't come over. After casually taking away Dix's spear and headless body, Eugene did not plunder in front of Liu. He had to take into account the feelings of the messenger of justice and leave the matter of cannibalism to be resolved privately. As for the miscellaneous soldiers, Eugene chose to let them live. First, it is too troublesome to dig them out one by one. The second is that he is afraid that it will increase his appetite. Afraid of losing combat power, please be considerate. Once he became addicted to cannibalism, he couldn't imagine what he would become. Let's go. Eugene smiled gently and brought Liu back to reality from stillness. He walked towards Terry, who was unable to escape in the distance, with easy steps. Can we settle the account between us, Mr. Shilly? You, don't come over. Terry let out the same wailing cry as Eugene, but at this time he also suffered internal injuries, his hands were powerless, and he couldn't even run away. Eugene jumped up to Terry and grabbed him by the collar. There are 1.8 billion in total. If you lose even 1 cent, I will kill you. Ah, by the way, there is also this contract. Eugene threw out a piece of brown paper with various terms drawn up in advance written on it. What about liberating Turley's harem, transferring casino operating rights, and the ownership of various inherent assets? After just one glance, Terry felt that his blood was not flowing smoothly and he felt cold from his feet to his head. This clause can be summed up in one word: fight it to the end. All his years of hard work in Orario were given away to Eugene like this. Who would be willing to change this? Ah, I'm sorry, my head fell off. Eugene's hand shook, and Dix's head rolled in a circle on the ground, almost scaring Terry to death. He looked at the previously arrogant god of plague, but now only had this little weight left, and he suddenly felt like his soul was dying. I sign. The craft paper is specially made with a magic contract printed on it. As long as Terry signs, presses the blood seal, and silently says, agree, in his heart, it will take effect. Because there are many secret transactions in this city, although this method has loopholes, it is also recognized. After all, there are so many perfect rules in this different world. Very good, Eugene put away the scroll with satisfaction, then dragged Terry to the underground for medical treatment. Hey, where are you going? Terry yelled. Withdraw money, your vault is down there. Get it early, good morning. Exclamation mark. He even knows this. Terry was so disheartened that he had been manipulated by his opponent for a long time. From start to finish, everything is calculated by Eugene. He was like a puppet, pulled by Eugene, step by step deeper into the casino. Liu, on the other hand, followed with curiosity. After going down several floors, several people finally arrived at the bottom of the entire building. At the end of the corridor, a powerful-looking vault door appeared in view. It's all there. Terry said aggrievedly, I'm the only one who can drive it, so I'll go get it for you. Need not. Eugene left him alone and walked inside. He put his hand on the extremely heavy door and rubbed it gently. This is made of a large amount of super hard metal and costs at least 200 to 300 million. But unfortunately, what Terry didn't know was that many of these metals were shoddy. The deeper the depth, the better the minerals produced. However, this vault uses the best price, but the materials are very rubbish. In the original work, Liu blasted the door open as soon as she cast her magic. But again, it's also money. Wouldn't it be enough to just melt it and separate the good from the bad? Call. A violent spatial fluctuation appeared in front of him, and Eugene held his breath and concentrated. In just a few breaths, the entire treasury was taken into the system space by him. There was only a huge hole left on the spot, and the earth and rocks that had lost their support continued to fall. Exclamation mark. Terry's jaw dropped in shock. What kind of operation is this? Phew. I upgraded quickly enough, I got a double reward, and the system space capacity doubled. Otherwise, after the Black Goliath is installed, such a large vault will really not be able to be filled. Eugene smiled with satisfaction. Then he turned around and stretched out his hand in a pretentious manner. This cooperation is very pleasant. I look forward to the opportunity for us to cooperate again. The corner of Terry's mouth twitched, and he wanted to kill this guy. But he couldn't show it, he could only laugh and echo. Thank you for finishing it. You should know how to do that, right? Eugene's voice was soft, like a devil's whisper. Terry swallowed and nodded repeatedly. It's all the fault of that damn Dix guy. He kidnapped me and wanted to hurt my respected friend, but he was easily defeated by your bodyguards. He then abandoned his companions and ran away in confusion. Haha, very good, very good. Eugene was surprised by this guy's ability to adapt to changing circumstances, and he laughed. Dix disappears, then everything can be blamed on him. This is the best result. But Eugene didn't believe that Terry would honestly report this to his superiors. He must have added fuel and vinegar to portray Eugene as a murderer, a robber, and all kinds of fabricated crimes. Given Turley's status, Orario's top management would never ignore it easily. However, that is for Terry Cervantes. When he lost all his property and was jointly identified by more than 20 abducted women in the harem, he finally received a large number of anonymous reporting letters. This Teddy Murray will finally be revealed. At that time, who will believe the words of a big liar who has taken on the identity of others and has been dominating for many years? Eugene left Terry with a meaningful smile. Then he picked up Lou and left easily. Let go. Lou was held by Eugene, her heart beating fast. I'm afraid you can't help but go back and beat him to death. Eugene took the opportunity to hold him tighter. They walked out of the back door of the casino without any hidden intentions. In the crowd, a heated discussion was breaking out. The last person who entered seemed to be a man with blonde hair and black skin. The elf guy next to him is super handsome. I'm not very satisfied that men don't have the prefix, handsome guy. The blonde-haired and white-skinned Eugene clicked his tongue in dissatisfaction. Stop being such a talker. Lou scolded with a smile as he took off his suit, removed his facial disguise, and restored his elegant feminine posture. They stood together, watching the former prosperity fall into dust. The other side. A hidden dock somewhere. Hey, is that all? Noroa grabbed the man who was much taller and stronger than her with one hand, and stepped on the black-haired catman under her feet. She frowned, originally thinking of using a new wave of magic. But these two imposters are too weak, and together they are not enough for her. What the hell? The fake Black Cat and Black Fist looked at each other, their expressions full of disbelief. Who would have thought that the two powerful men in the underground society are actually girls? I tried my best, but I couldn't even tear the opponent's coat. The cutting tool could not even leave a mark when it was slashed. What a slap in the face. Are you dissatisfied? Nalua sneered and said, you don't think that you two trash can beat me if I don't wear armor, do you? She puffed up her chest proudly. I still have a magic trick that I can't use. After hearing this, the two became even more desperate. They are already the top fighting force under Turley, and they have always been able to execute Turley's orders smoothly. Only today did I realize that there are people outside the world and there is a world outside the world. Okay. Chloe called from the other side. There were dozens of miscellaneous soldiers on the pier, but she managed to get rid of them with just her clones. I sat in the cargo box and watched the show the whole time. Norwood didn't waste any words and followed Eugene's instructions with 2 punches and sent the 2 of them into the dark room. In this way, the 2 girls directed a group of bruised gangsters to transport the cargo ship that was supposed to sail to a foreign country all the way to the location designated by Eugene. Over there, Lena and Lily had already summoned their men and were waiting for the round with everyone. Can't wait. The 2 women looked at each other and confirmed each other's mood. They looked forward to it. I just wanted to rush to Eugene's side as soon as possible. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. 72 Until you ascend the high throne. In the underground city. Aisha glared at Taurus Eugene with slight dissatisfaction. This guy is like a boring gourd, and he doesn't say a word for a long time. As soon as you open your mouth now, it's over. Do you want to drive them away? So what on earth is going on? Mr. Niu, Master Eugene, are you okay? Niu nodded, no longer entangled with the 2 women, and strode towards the stairs below. Level sublimation, this is the backhand in the backhand, but it was not used in the end. Eugene is worried that there will be dark factions who will disrupt the situation. At the critical moment, he can rely on level upgrading plus demonic sacrifice to fight against the opponent. Now that the dark sect has not appeared, this matter will remain as it is. Weird guy. Aisha looked at Niu's back and said. Haruji was not like that. Her eyes were fixed on the broad back, and she seemed to see something familiar in it. But no matter what, she finally showed a relieved smile. Although level sublimation is a magical skill, it is only used against powerful enemies. Now that I haven't used it, in a sense, it also means that everything is safe. She walked out of the dark dungeon and silently prayed towards the starry sky that everything would go well for her sweetheart. The Daedalus neighborhood is famous for its densely packed houses and narrow streets. Because management is too difficult, it belongs to Orario's chaotic zone. Of course, that's for ordinary people. Eugene is at this level, talking about sharks in a fish tank. At a private pier, Lena and Lily looked forward to the end of the river. Finally, they were pleasantly surprised to see a beam of blue light piercing the dark night. That was the promised signal. Oh, it seems I arrived in time. A familiar voice sounded behind them, and the 2 women turned back with surprise on their faces and walked towards the figure on the steps. Master Eugene. Eugene was not polite either. Under Liu's disdainful gaze, one on each side felt very unhappy. He rented this place in advance and sent Lena and Lily to guard it. When it's done, we'll meet together. To be on the safe side, he also bought 2 high-grade magic swords from there for the 2 girls to defend themselves. The kind that can blow away a house with a wave of your hand. In this way, except that there are almost 400 million. That's it, he still wants to continue credit. Master Eugene, Lily has completed the task you assigned. Master, send it to someone else too. The 2 girls behaved in various ways, and under Eugene's instructions, they did more than just this one thing. In order to deal with the possible invasion of the Dark Faction, Eugene specially instructed the 2 people to report. He didn't know the process clearly, but in short, it was said that there were suspected Dark Faction activities on Daedalus Street, and he hoped that the Ganesha Familia could increase the strength of the guards. Daedalus Street is known as the Second Labyrinth, and it is a mixed bag. Moreover, the entrance to the man-made labyrinth of Gnosis is here, and there is more than one. Eugene's operation, on the one hand, distracted the Ganesha family's supervision of the entertainment city, and on the other hand, it frightened the Dark Factions who might take action, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Very well, I will reward you well tonight. Eugene enjoyed the treatment of being hugged by an old man and stared at the connected cargo ships with passion. Each of those simple-looking large cargo boxes was filled with gold, silver and jewelry worth hundreds of millions. The total amount on board these ships definitely exceeds 2 billion. They are the foundation for Turley's comeback and the support for all his authority. Without these, he was left with only a dead end. Logically speaking, nothing can be absolute. But here in Eugene, Terry was absolutely dead. If he doesn't look good, Eugene will help him look good. Tisk, it's really uncomfortable to always have to take those bugs into account. Eugene, who had deployed multiple backups, did not receive any feedback, and his hostility towards those lunatics only worsened. Clean them up as soon as possible. What kind of bullshit evil gods and fallen fairies must be made to kneel down and sing conquest sooner or later? Finally, with the heavy sound of docking, the fleet arrived at the dock. My eyes have been covered. Nalua shouted loudly, I will let you go today. If someone leaks the news and I find out from now on, prepare for the death of your whole family. After cordial exchanges along the way, this group of Terry lackeys all knew that the 2 little girls were the notorious Black Cat and Black Fist. In this era, all kinds of rumors are always exaggerated, so in their eyes, Kamui and Noroa have become big demons who are cute on the outside but murderous without blinking an eye. You're lucky to have survived from someone else's hands. How dare you say something about it? The 2 masters who were usually domineering were beaten as if they were puppies, and now they are still half dead. Get out. K. Mengi gave the order, and the sound of large splashes of water immediately came from the river. A group of gangsters swam frantically towards the other side of the river as if they had been granted amnesty. Please give me flowers. It doesn't matter if you can get water or not, just run and that's it. Boss. The 2 women couldn't wait to wave towards the darkness ahead. Under their expectant gazes, Eugene walked out slowly with a smile on his face. Well done, my dear girls. The 2 people who were demons in people's eyes a second ago gave Eugene an excited hug at the same time and suddenly transformed into charming and good girls. Eugene kissed each of them lightly on top of their heads, which made the 2 girls raise their lips and feel extremely happy. It's all here. Under Chloe's display, several neatly arranged cargo boxes were like a towering wall. Eugene stepped forward and raised his hand to break one of them open. What catches the eye is pure gold. It's gold. Everyone's breath froze. No matter when, this color can bring the most shocking visual impact to people. Girls. Eugene, who was silent for a moment, suddenly let out a high-pitched shout. He turned around, his golden eyes burning with the hottest emotions. I'm glad to meet you, and I'm glad to be with you. As you can see, our team has passed the first test and also received its first income. The fruitful results are closely related to everyone. Here, I promise you. These are just the beginning of the feast. If you don't give up, please follow my footsteps. From here on, I will step by step to create a new career that everyone can look up to. Until our name spreads to countless countries and forces, all the way to the Far East and Far North. Please continue to help me, please continue to trust me. Until we reach the peak that no one has ever reached. Until, above our heads, only the starry sky and the gods are left. A snow-white glow surged from his body, like a sun about to rise in this dark night. The eyes of the women reflected the man's impassionedness. In their minds, they recalled their not long-lasting, but extremely warm, pleasant, and reliable relationship with Eugene. They all nodded with bright smiles, like clusters of flowers blooming in the light. We will always be there for you. Until you ascend the supreme throne. 73 Transformation magic is really easy to use. Head of Ganesha Familia, Rod of Ganesha, Shakti Pharma. After a great war, there must be aftermath. First, we start from the center of the battlefield, the El Dorado Leisure Sanctuary. When the large army of the Ganesha family arrived, only half of the luxurious casino was left in ruins. The several IV-5s led by them launched a search and rescue in the ruins, but were surprised to find that all the rescued people were adventurers from the Icarus Familia. Because of their strong bodies, they all survived. At the underground entrance, people found Terry crawling with difficulty. As if he had seen a savior, he cried and cried to the city gendarmes who usually looked down upon him, as if those people were his reborn parents. When asked about the cause and effect of the incident, Turley lived up to Eugene's expectations and revealed the whole process of being blackmailed. In his words, Dix became a hero who sacrificed his life for charity, while Eugene became an out-and-out evil traitor. With a dubious attitude, the military police temporarily took away Terry and the members of the Icarus family. Because the underground vault was indeed stolen, they had reason to believe Turley's story. But the next day, a group of beautiful women who came from nowhere gathered in front of the security department and shouted petitions. A blonde and dark-skinned hot girl sobbingly accused Terry of his crimes in the crowd. Under her instigation, the beauties who were originally fearful cried with joy and began to make desperate accusations. When such a beautiful woman sheds tears, even the male gods have to say that I will take care of the matter. This incident became the first driving force behind Turley's downfall. Since then, many witnesses have come forward to testify about the serious crimes Turley has committed in recent years. Among them, there are even two of his most powerful men, the fake, Black Cat, and Black Fist. After a night of ideological struggle, they determined to change their past and told everything they knew. The content is so dark and eye-catching. Not only was it involved in a large number of human trafficking, smuggling transactions, and murder crimes, it also brought down a large number of people on the current Entertainment City Supervision Committee. In just a few days, this rich man who towered over tens of thousands of people in Orly became the one everyone was calling for beatings. What's even worse is that after someone anonymously reported it, he even had a fake name. Ted Maudley. This person belongs to a certain family that has declined. He was a member of the lineage that was classified as an assistant to the dark sect during the Dark Era, and he made his fortune by making money in troubled times. Hang him. Chop him off. The citizens, who have always hated the rich, were so angry that they wanted to kill Terry on the spot. Teddy Murray, based on your crime, you should have been sentenced to death. In view of the financial contribution you have made to Horario, I order you to pay a bail of $1 billion and hand over all the shares you hold in Eldorado Company. From now on, you will be exiled and never return, as a warning to others. The meaning is obvious. We won't hold you accountable for your crimes. You just pay the money and get out. In Horario, there are many cases of malicious murder due to impulsive adventurers. As a completely neutral force, Horario was punished with fines, blacklists and exile in order to avoid causing trouble. Now that Taylor was easily defeated, it was natural that he would be killed severely. Lolo, Faust, as the main accomplices of Trinidad and Tobago, the sentence is the same as above. In view of the act of surrender, each of you will be fined 100 million, and you will never be able to return after being exiled. Bang! The final word. That night, someone came to visit Faust and Lolo to discuss bail matters. Because the conversation lasted too long, the guards entered the room and intervened. But only 2 headless corpses were found. The visitor has since disappeared without a trace, leaving no clues. Because he failed to pay the bail, the court decided to go ahead and impose the death penalty. When the news reached Turley became very emotional and asked to meet with his lawyer as soon as possible. That night, the lawyer went to Turley's office and was told that the other party's property was no longer enough to pay the bail of $1 billion. Turley lost control for a time and was forcibly taken back after beating the lawyer. Later, because he could not meet the court's requirements, Turley was sentenced to death. His bank deposits were confiscated, totaling more than $200 million. Fixed assets, casino land and company shares were retained because 2,000 abducted women jointly presented a transfer agreement. Since then, the rich man's impersonation incident has officially come to an end. This is the treatment on the surface. As the city's military police force, the Ganesha family has the responsibility to investigate all unstable factors. They hope to know who the Eugene and Dix mentioned by Turley are the real masterminds of this incident. Whether it is the huge damage caused to the casino or the magical method of moving the entire underground vault, people are curious. They first visited the recuperating Icarus family members, who unanimously stated that the culprit of everything was the blonde and brown-skinned man named Eugene. According to them, Eugene used his gambling skills to win $1.6 billion from Terry overnight and destroyed the casino building with just one blow. Such an amazing deed is really hard to believe. Win $1.6 billion. Forget it if you are stupid. Is Terry that stupid? Will he watch himself lose to the opponent for $1.6 billion? Besides, if you blow up half of the casino with one blow, who are you trying to fool? There are obviously traces of battle all over the casino. It must have been a fierce battle to get it like that. By saying this, you are obviously trying to put all the blame on the other party. The Ganesha family members, who have rich experience in solving cases, overturned the confessions of this group of people with a little reasoning. They are in a group, and collusion in confession is a sure thing. Chongxiang must not be like this. That Dix has a long history of misdeeds, and since he is an IV5 adventurer, he is a serious suspect. As for Eugene, this group of people went to great lengths to pin the blame on him, obviously to provide cover for Dix. The answer is very close. Eugene has a problem, but the main culprit must be Dix. Everyone is involved in an in-depth investigation. As long as Dix is found, I believe the truth will soon come to light. Finally, here is Eugene. He arranged double insurance. The targets of the transfer are all the girls who were harmed. Eugene found them and said that he could provide them with asylum and produced a transfer agreement that could be used as a legal basis. Under his coercion and inducement, the girls agreed wholeheartedly. In just a few days, Eugene showed off his achievements and sent Terry to the gallows. After that, he gradually recovered the huge wealth they owned and helped each of them according to their wishes. Either give him a sum of money to go back to his hometown, or send him to work as a rich hostess, or stay as an assistant to do odd jobs, or simply give him a house and ignore him. In short, the money was spent, things were done, and everyone was happy. During this period, Eugene supported Lily to take over and became the new shareholder of Eldorado. Lily gave full play to her talent in financial management and managed things in an orderly manner in a short period of time. From then on, she was no longer Erd or Lilica, but Miss Lily and Lady Erd. No one can underestimate a woman with a net worth of $1 billion, even if she is a 15-year-old little human. To be able to obtain such a large amount of wealth at this age, one's own abilities and background cannot be ignored. Just as this gentle daily routine proceeds in an orderly manner, the Ganesha family finally found Eugene's door. Good afternoon, Mr. Eugene. I am the leader of the Ganesha Familia, Shakti Pharma. I came here to talk to you. 1.8 The moment he saw Eugene, Shakti was stunned. Well, how could you? She pointed her finger at the man in a nightgown with an incredible expression. What's wrong, Ms. Shakti? Eugene held the lazy Lena in his arms, nestled on the sofa, and relaxed with the wine glass in his hand. His white fingers were long and slender, and the crystal cup reflected his dark red eyes. The long gray hair is spread back, and the long and pointed but clearly curved ears highlight the characteristics of a mixed-blood elf. Eugene, as described by people, is tall, dark-skinned and blonde, always has a wicked smile on his face, and has been human since birth. At this time, in front of her eyes, this man named Eugene has silver hair, red eyes, snow-white skin, and a handsome face. And he is a half-elf. With all due respect, are you really Eugene? Shakti frowned, completely confused as to where he had gone wrong. Eugene smiled gently. He looked at Lena in his arms. The latter winked playfully. Of course. 74 I must give him a child. Eugene is not Eugene. The direction of the investigation is completely wrong. Because I was misled by everyone, I subconsciously believed that Eugene was a real person. In fact, it was a pseudonym at all. After Shakti saw the transformed Eugene, while feeling hugely embarrassed, he immediately understood that he had fallen into a basic misunderstanding. Who said that the frivolous guy with blonde hair and dark skin was really named Eugene? He says yes, you say yes, and everyone else says yes. Does that mean it must be the case? Not necessarily. All of this was probably a lie in the first place. Shakti reflected on himself for a long time and finally led the team out of Eugene's villa. Transformation magic is so useful, master. Lena looked at Eugene with bright eyes, full of admiration. If before she was just coveted for Eugene's physique, now she is coveted for Eugene's whole person. Powerful, elegant, humorous, wealthy, calm, wise, strategizing. You can even play it in various ways. Is there a more perfect man than this? I must give him a child. Lena put her arms around Eugene's neck and kissed him. Amazon's hunting instinct kicks in again. Eugene is not timid, and Niu has not been slacking off during this period, and he has not fallen behind at all in leveling up. He was galloping and counting the days. Of course not as a child. The Loki familia have been on an expedition for some time, and it's almost time to return. 13. Then, at that time, it must be the beginning of the anime. The most beautiful and elegant genius in Labyrinth City, Sword Princess Ice. An encounter with Belcroni, an unknown boy who is dull and has only a heart that yearns for a hero. At that moment, the silly boy had endless admiration for the girl who was as dazzling as an angel. In order to catch up with her, all the potential hidden in the body exploded, growing as a hero at a speed beyond human imagination. Until the latest plot of the original work, Belle has reached the edge of IV5, with all attributes exceeding the standard. It only took half a year. The growth of a hero. Eugene's eyes twinkled. Surrounded by everyone, trusted by everyone, and expected by everyone. When people call for help, they rush to you desperately, and when there is danger in the world, they fight desperately. You must carry out your will at all times and become the best man you can be at all times. A beacon in the darkness, a hope in despair. This is what a hero is. Actually, it's pretty good. Eugene has no ill intentions towards Belle. When watching the anime, except for being a little unhappy because of his overly good-natured nature, he liked the rest of the anime. He also fought all the way, went through severe trials, and continued to grow from desperate situations. Finally, he became a figure that attracted much attention. But, it's a pity. Eugene thought silently in his mind. A hero can only lead a moment. But it cannot lead an era. People trust you because of your strength. You can stand in front of everyone, but you can't stand on top of everyone's head. From the people, to the people, he is a hero. Coming from everyone and standing among all living beings, this is the emperor. What Eugene wants to do is not to be a leader standing in front of others, but to sit at the top and command the world. The thoughts of the Dragon Kingdom for thousands of years have influenced Eugene. In this troubled world where power is paramount, he must fight for that position. That absolute authority that is exclusive to me, above kings, chiefs, generals, lords, and presidents. He wants to be the only one in this divided world whose power in the world is greater than anything else, even the existence of the gods. I want to be the emperor of the world. Orario, Lefiya, Far East, the Sea of Trees, Dragon Valley, everything under the sky is the land of the king. No matter what kind of force they are, they must obey my orders. No matter what kind of monster it is, it will crawl in front of me. Even if it is the most powerful family in the world. Even if it is the most powerful monster in history that is known as a living disaster and a living nightmare, the one-eyed black dragon. Eugene's body tensed. For a time, dragons and phoenixes were dancing. At the same time, Underground City, Level 18, Rivera Town. The adventurers who live here all year round pay little attention to things on the ground because of the lack of information. Recently, there is only one thing that attracts their attention the most. That is, about a week ago, the shocking battle that took place in the 17th Kang's boss room. Through the thick crystal roof, people can also feel the intensity of the battle. According to usual experience, it was definitely not a battle between Goliath and ordinary adventurers. Because when the Loki family went deep into the underground city, they had already defeated the giant once. It stands to reason that on the day of the decisive battle, it is impossible to create a new Goliath. But just before, someone had witnessed that inside the crystal wall of size, 10 groups of extremely evil black flesh were rapidly forming. It seemed to be summoned by something, growing outward crazily, its bones and blood almost breaking through the wall at one point. But at that critical moment, he lost his goal and returned to silence. That kind of thing has never been heard of or seen before. From this, they guessed that one of the two sides fighting that day must be the monster born from the black flesh. And sometimes, you have to admire the big guy's reasoning ability. Ever since the battle between Eugene and Gran happened, some people had gone to the scene to watch. The sea of fire that Eugene spouts is too special. The characteristics of the flames are very close to those of the Cerberus, but the range and power are much greater. This group of chattering people got together and used their imaginations, and they really guessed it. The mysterious fire breather and the black monster. This battle was named this way. Although it is very ambiguous, the two players did hit the mark. Because of that exaggerated scale of the battle, the whole town had been abuzz over the past few days. Everyone's attitude is different. Eugene, on the other hand, remained silent about it. He still looks like a bored person, walking alone and not attracting attention. Until this day. From the entrance to the 19th floor, a large number of figures, accompanied by noisy sounds, appeared in the field of vision. People's attention was captured instantly. It's Loki Familia. After they launched the expedition, they overcame obstacles all the way and successfully reached the 50th floor of the dungeon. The mission was successfully completed. In the process, kill the two-headed dragon Amphisbiner, the boss on the 27th floor, the skeleton king Udios on the 37th floor, and the Cyclops Plunderer on the 49th floor, whose ability is expected to reach IV7. The battle was long and arduous, but under the leadership of the three clan elders, they successfully returned. Because of the dark period, such a large-scale expedition can be said to be the first time in the past 10 years. Hey, Loki Familia, have they really reached that deep a place? What does Udios look like? Where's Plunderer? Everyone, come and have a rest in my store. I'll give you a discount. People crowded around excitedly, asking for help. At this time, the Loki Familia 207 clan was no longer a big fat sheep in their eyes, but a true brave hero. After all, that's the 50th floor. There are super powerful IV4 monsters everywhere, and there are also quite a few deadly monsters. According to the guild's description, by around the 40th floor, the total area of the dungeon is already larger than Orario. As for the 50th floor, it was a scene that they simply could not imagine. There are many IV 2.3 young people in the large army of Loki Familia. They were able to follow the family members to reach the 50th level that the elders could not even imagine, which is both enviable and admirable. This is the power of a big family united. Hey, Finn, it's thanks to you again this time. Boss, the nominal mayor of Rivera Town, a rough man who had witnessed Rivera being destroyed and rebuilt 3 times, walked towards the blonde and blue-eyed little human. Brave, Finn, the absolute core and leader of the Loki Familia. Relying on his outstanding strategies, the Loki family has made great achievements time and time again, and has always been successful. Overall this time it went quite smoothly. Finn looked like a child, but his tone was very mature. The children of the younger generation are very obedient and can be commanded easily. Outsiders don't know it clearly, but Bosi knows that this person is his same generation. The two of them are about the same age, but one is already a giant known to everyone in Orario, while he can only stay on this safe floor and make a living as a shady businessman. Comparing people to each other makes people angry. The two chatted over wine, and naturally they talked about recent events. Black Monster. Fire Breather. After listening to Bosi's narration, Finn's eyes narrowed slightly. Again something unheard of. Is there any connection between the two and the strangeness they discovered in the deep layers? I like 75 white scoops, and I also like robbery. Before the Loki Familia reached the 50th floor, everything was normal. Except for the vicious monsters, nothing exceeded expectations. After defeating the Cyclops Plunderer and reaching the safe floor on the 50th floor. But there they discovered a large number of new monsters that the guild had never recorded before. A kind of cyan worm that is very powerful, durable and has a large number. These bugs are very dangerous and almost caught Loki's family off guard. And inside their bodies, Finn and the others also discovered magic stones that were different from any monsters in the dungeon. It was a very strange stone with a dirty air. It seemed that there was an unknown aura mixed into the normal magic stone. Finn rubbed his thumb, just like a woman's sixth sense, his thumb had a unique effect. Once something happens, there will be a dull pain. Now, when he heard the evil black monster, Finn felt like he had grasped some clue. He continued to ask about things related to Bosi, and decided to dedicate part of his military force to further investigate this matter. On the other side, Niunyu Eugene stood on a high place, silently watching the large crowd of people in the distance. Here we go. As long as this group of people goes up one more level, the monster feast will be triggered. After dozens of Tauren were born, they were beaten violently on the spot. Under pressure, he had to flee to the upper level. At that time, Ace, who is chasing after her, will meet Belle by chance. However, this title does not fit the plot. Is it wrong to seek encounters in dungeons? You have indeed found an encounter, and you have done nothing wrong. All Eugene has to do is get this encounter wrong. His current strength, without relying on level improvement, is probably at the mid-range level of IV5. When it comes to fighting, there is no difference in actual combat experience. According to the previous arrangement, it would be very difficult to stop Icy and Bert, who were following closely by herself. However, after Eugene thought about it, he changed his focus. He didn't have to break off the encounter completely. Just make a mistake. Belle's one heart longing is the crystallization of longing. The limited target must be a female hero. 10 times the experience and immunity to charm must be based on the premise that you have a woman you like. But what if it was Bert who saved the rookie? That werewolf who looks fierce, acts rough, treats the weak without mercy, and speaks harshly at all times. Facing such a savior, can Belle still have longing for him? Not to mention admiration, life would be good if you didn't get scolded and doubted. So, there is only one target. Eugene's eyes widened. Among the crowd, the blonde girl dressed in white was particularly eye-catching. As the strongest Tauren, how can a woman not steal the lead role? This time, let him personally cut off the fate between the boy and the heroine. Having formulated a rough strategy, Eugene's main task now is to become stronger as soon as possible. His current attribute values have not been updated yet. Arriving alone in the basement of the villa, Eugene summoned 3 things. His head. They belong to Faust, Lolo, and Dix respectively. These 3 people were all killed by him with his own hands, meeting the conditions for plundering spells. However, since the back of Dick's head was still useful, he replaced it with this guy's body. Plunder. The attribute values of 2 IV3 and 1 V5 are extracted at one time. Eugene will wait and see what kind of enhancement it can get. Ding! You have completed the plunder. Acquire the most outstanding attribute of the target, agility plus 690C, dexterity plus 685C plus 705B LV3. Acquire the target's most powerful skill, crazy grabbing, dual-wielding weapon attack speed plus 50%. Acquire the most outstanding attribute of the target, durability plus 700B, strength plus 680C plus 725B LV3. Acquire the target's most powerful skill, punch vigorously and create powerful combination punches. Acquire the most outstanding attribute of the target, magic plus 725B, durability plus 710B plus 790B LV3, strength plus 650C plus 780B LV3, plus 815A IV4 plus 510D LV5. Acquire the target's most powerful skill, the bloody spear, which can be stabbed out continuously at an extremely fast speed, consuming very little physical strength. Acquire the target's most powerful magic, Fubert or Daedalus, which can drive the opponent into madness and attack regardless of friend or foe. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Properties exploded. Eugene looked at the large property column popping up in front of his eyes widened. It's all multi-draw. Luoluo gained level 2 agility and level 23 dexterity. Faust drew level 2 durability and level 23 strength. As for Deeks, level 2 magic, level 23 durability, and level 2345 strength. This wave will eat you until you die. Just upgraded for a week and it's amazing again. Eugene swallowed and brought up his current status bar. This is his attribute before drawing. With the base value drawn and his own training, it has increased a lot. Ability, strength 700A, durability 250 grams, dexterity 750B, 700B, agility 200 grams, magic power 250 grams. And this is what he updated. Ability, strength 2030, 780B, 815A, 510D, durability 1660. 790B, dexterity 1435 SSS, 1405 SSS, agility 950s, magic power 975s. If you want to ask how to become stronger quickly, you have to eat people. Depend on. I really can't do this all the time, it's too enjoyable. Eugene asks himself that he does not have much determination. In order not to become a madman like the Dark Faction, he must restrain his desire to hunt with all his strength. Quote. After reaching level 2 in 2 weeks, his normal strength is not lower than lose. This is open, what else is there to choose from? In order to temporarily distract himself, Eugene sat down cross-legged and opened the system space. Today, the vault inside is still there, but it is filled with hard currency such as gold and silver. Turley still has a hand, what is left is Orario currency, and what is transferred is currency. This is also very convenient. Eugene directly relies on system recognition to convert all deposited currencies into account balances. From the original net worth of over 100 million, it skyrocketed to 2 billion out of thin air. The 9-digit number has increased to the 10-digit number, which is pleasing to the eye. The empty vault can just be used to store these heavy items of gold and silver. He was thinking that sooner or later he would get rid of the treasury and replace it with a bigger one so as not to take up too much space. After rummaging through some things, Eugene found the upgrade reward gift package in the warehouse. He has been busy from early morning to late at night these days, day and night, and has never had time to open it. That stack of lottery tickets is useless. Just take advantage of this free time to start a wave. Everyone has seen the rewards of the primary gift pack and the intermediate gift pack. 2 of each, the total reward is Magic Book 6, Magic Gem 6, Fine Gold 4 kg, Mithril 6 kg, the Hardest Metal 6 kg, Money 12 kW. It is worth mentioning that the materials rewarded by the system are all of the highest quality, equivalent to the finest products mined at the deepest level, and are mainly suitable for high-end equipment manufacturing. As for Telly's treasury, they are all middle and upper-level minerals, with poor purity and insufficient hardness. Although it is known as the hardest metal, it does not have the property of being indestructible. The two values are incomparable. And then comes the main event. Advanced Gift Pack 2, Tiantian Prize Pool Raffle Ticket 20. Eugene looked at the advanced gift pack that looked obviously different, and realized that the rewards inside might be different from those of elementary, intermediate, and advanced. What is the best reward after leveling up? Of course it's a way to become stronger, King Zhao's. He stretched out his hand and touched the open button, and a burst of light flashed before his eyes. Congratulations to the host for obtaining Advanced Demonic Sword Fire *1, Advanced Demonic Sword Thunder *1, Complete Healing Potion 10, Curse Purification Runestone 10, Perfect Energy Potion 10, Mimic Clay Stand 10, Advanced Smoke Bullets, Advanced Shock Bullets, Advanced Poison Quenching Concealed Weapons 100. Damn it. This is all for use. Eugene is dumbfounded. He can attack, defend, recover, and run away. Taking these things, I really can't die even if I want to. The power of the high-level magic sword is reflected in the anime. At that time, the 3 newly promoted IV6s of the Loki Familia, Bert and the Amazon sisters, only received a blow from the Thunder Magic Sword, and they were all paralyzed. That's IV6. You can control 3 with one shot. Is there anything wrong with selling this kind of equipment to you for 100 million? Together with the pile at the back, these 2 gift packages are worth hundreds of millions. Damn, my resource accumulation is much more ruthless than that of the protagonist Belle. Only then did Eugene realize how stupid he was. Why should I go to all the trouble to grab Terry's property when I can make a fortune just by opening boxes? Because it's fun. It's right there, don't grab it. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. 76th Day Who is indeed a must-have for Variety Comics. Eugene adjusted the warehouse inventory, where he can set something like shortcut keys. For example, summon an axe, summon a shield, summon a magic sword, etc. This is how he played before. After getting familiar with these props in turn, Eugene picked up the 2 magic swords. Their appearance is not exaggerated, they are just 2 short swords with gorgeous appearance. But who could have imagined that with just this thing, Eugene could bring down the entire villa above him once he waved it? I wonder which one is higher compared to the quality of Tsubaki's production. Magic swords also have grades, and the one with the highest quality is naturally the work of Hephaestus, the god of forging. But it is not for sale, and people may not buy a handful of it in a year. Then the only products with the highest specifications that can appear on the market are the Chun Forging series. The average price is about 50 million. If it is specially made, it may be worth 100 million. For example, as mentioned before, the Thunder Battle Axe that paralyzed 3IV6s with one hit. Eugene played with it for a while and then put it away again. In fact, there is another person in this city who has the potential to forge a magic sword stronger than Chun. His name is Welf Krazo, a tall young man with fiery red hair. The reason why he was able to produce magical weapons at such a young age was mainly because of his bloodline. The ancestors of the Krazo family once received the help of fairy spirits, and were able to possess the ability to make magic swords, which was passed down from generation to generation. It is said that Krazo's magic sword even evaporated into the sea with a full blow 297. Therefore, people robbed them wherever they went. However, our classmate Welf is very rebellious. The more you beg me, the less I will look down on you. I want to prove that you can become the best blacksmith without relying on a magic sword. This is probably the case. ... Find an opportunity to poach him. Eugene started to think again. Although this kid is a tough guy, he is indeed a talent. Later, he even developed the immortal demonic sword, which was extremely powerful and would not break. As long as you inject magic power, you can spray out enough output. This point is quite similar to Eugene's Infinity. If he could get an immortal demon sword, he believed that his output would skyrocket by another level. But there's no rush right now. Eugene slowly returned his gaze to the system panel. There is an additional interface on it, the Wanji lottery pool. After all, the title is a comprehensive comic, so it is only a matter of time before it involves other worlds. He looked at his balance and saw 20 coupons. I threw myself into it all without any burden. It's free, and you don't need to pay for it, so what are you afraid of? DYDD. The pointer is spinning crazily on the colorful roulette wheel. This BDAIU design is designed to score gold. It's like a web game, it makes people blind. Ding. Ding ding ding. A series of pleasant chirping sounds sounded. Shipped. Eugene took a closer look. 1 purple, 3 blue, 5 green and 6 white, and 5 guaranteed fragments. Eugene looked at it and saw that the guaranteed fragments could either be exchanged for consumption points in the mall, or he could collect 10 of them and exchange them for green rewards. This shipment rate is barely passable. The first one is white, which is a little stronger than the guaranteed fragments. There are a bunch of weird props, such as Pava's chest pad, which are not very practical. Then green is more interesting, including Modified Desert Eagle, John Wick's pencil, and Shaoli's counterweight. Modified Desert Eagle, where did I get the bullets? Wick's pencil is not a pencil anymore. Shaoli's counterweight, as anyone who has watched Naruto knows, is not a big thing, but it is extremely heavy. Eugene has no intention of exercising while wearing this thing, but he can throw it out at critical moments and beat people to half-death. Eugene concluded with a look of disgust. The level of green goods is roughly the level of small firearms. It helps, but not much. Then there is blue, and finally there are some good things. Ma Shanong's 3 orbs, Fox Demon Dream Hammer, Flying Thunder God Scroll. Ma Shanong is a weapon refiner in one person. This 3-jewel is a magic weapon that can automatically defend itself. In terms of durability, it can probably block a sniper rifle. And if it is broken, it will automatically renew itself and be seamlessly connected 3 times. The Dream Recalling Hammer is a special prop in Fox Demon Little Matchmaker, which can awaken people's memories of past lives with the help of dreams. This thing is quite useful, because in the world view of Earth, there is reincarnation. Next is the Flying Thunder God Scroll. Through the mark recorded on the scroll, Eugene can plant the talisman anywhere and then give it to others. Injecting energy to activate it can be transported to the mark. This is great. Very practical. Because other people can use it besides Eugene. He put it away with satisfaction and then clicked on the final purple reward. Skill card, Kagura, God of Fire. This. Eugene couldn't hold himself any longer on the spot. Sure enough. No matter which comic novel it is, sun breathing is a must-have skill. One can blow the fate, 1,000 swords per second, the combat power can be high or low. Second, it can ride on the popularity of Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba and attract readers. It can be said that the plot is a piece of cake, a must-have product. Although it's outrageous, it's here. Eugene's mouth felt that his body was upright, and he raised his hand to point it in the air, and a series of blazing sword intentions immediately took shape in his mind. You have consumed the skill card and have mastered all the moves of God of Fire Kagura. The system has completed the initiation for you, and your skill proficiency has reached the highest level. Eugene silently pulled out Grand's machete. Activate the skill, Kagura, the god of fire. Eugene's face was frozen and he stepped forward. His figure was like a phantom, his steps were agile and natural, and every time he waved the blade, it was driven by illusory flames. That is not magic, but sword intention, sword energy and other things. It turns out to be pure physical skills. It's really fierce. After Eugene tried it once, he felt refreshed. The breath of the sun can give Tanjiro's terminally ill father the power to easily kill a giant bear. This shows how much it can improve people. Moreover, as long as you breathe and move properly, you can also use the hatchet to exert its power. Yes, since time traveling, Eugene has always had an inexplicable passion for axes. His biggest wish now is to get the Leviathan axe that Kuie used in Zansi. It's almost ready. A meaningful smile appeared on Eugene's lips. You can start planning the next step. Orario, a dilapidated church somewhere. The young man with gray hair and red eyes and an innocent look is eagerly packing his luggage. Beside him, Hestia, the goddess of hearth and fire, with a petite body and cute face, was still sleeping soundly. Let's go to the 5th floor today. Ever since he met Hestia and received God's favor, Belcrane felt that his career as an adventurer had a bright future. For several days in a row, he walked all the way through the underground city, and the fields were divided smoothly. Even if you encounter danger, you can always resolve it easily. Then, of course, we have to continue to delve deeper. Putting away the rudimentary equipment, the 14-year-old boy, full of longing for the future, strode forward facing the rising sun. Little did I know, he is about to fall into King Tu's trap. 77 Looking for an encounter in a dungeon is really a mistake. 1. Underground City, 17th floor. Because the dungeon environment slowly and automatically recovers, Finn and others were unable to find any clues in the boss room. The only thing that was certain was that after giving birth to the black monster, the dungeon temporarily had no energy left to regenerate a Goliath. They returned to the upper level without defeating the boss. Eugene was at the tail end of the Loki Familia army. Not only him, but also some adventurers were traveling with him, so he was hitching a ride. Eugene's eyes scanned the team as covertly as possible, staring at the dazzling blonde figure in front of him from time to time. Because she was used to being watched, even Ice herself didn't notice anything. Finally, they reached the 17th floor of the stairs. This is a long and narrow corridor with flat and tall stone walls on both sides. Suddenly, waves of strange tremors came. I saw a large number of protrusions suddenly appearing on both sides of the stone wall. No less than 20 Tauren broke out of the wall. Occasionally, there will be a scene where multiple monsters are born at once in the dungeon, which is called Monster Feast. Members of the Loki Familia who have experienced hundreds of battles are not surprised by this. How about leader, clean it up? The Amazon sisters asked. Fen glanced around and saw that they were all Tauren, and the western section took it to heart. So, these IV5 sisters, with their bare hands, performed a wave of hand-on-hand beef balls for everyone. One punch and one kick. Seeing the devastating power of their opponents, the Tauren fled in fear. Even though they are monsters, they will run away from powerful opponents. Oops, there are low-level adventurers on the upper level. They can't beat the Tauren. Upon seeing this, Finn gave an order, and several masters in the team gave chase. It's now. Eugene turned into a gust of wind and chased after him. The strange figure immediately caught Finn's attention. Who is that person? As the leader, he cannot leave easily. Don't know. Everyone asked. That kind of speed is for a master. Finn narrowed his eyes, remembering what Boss had said. Could it be a fire breather? Why did he pursue him? Out of justice? Or, for other purposes? Finn thought for a moment, but finally did not take a step. The opponent's purpose is unknown for the time being, and apart from being powerful, he doesn't show anything special. Furthermore, even if he has other purposes, none of my juniors are vegetarians. Is it the effect of strong luck? When he realized that no one was following behind him, Eugene raised the corner of his mouth. Relying on echolocation, he followed the people in front of him from a distance in the maze. In his perception, in the team chasing the Minotaur, there were 4 people who were extremely fast. They were the Amazon sisters, the werewolf Bert and the sword girl Ace. Greater than. Eugene strengthened his perception and followed the side with heavier feedback. Bert was the biggest of the 4, so he was easy to track. At the same time, the 5th floor of the underground city. With only a steel plate breastplate on his body and a novice dagger as his weapon, Bell, who looked like a rookie from head to toe, had already advanced very far on the 5th floor. He thought he was strong enough to go this far. In fact, this thing has its own lucky attribute and has avoided many groups of monsters. Unbeknownst to Bell, Eugene, who was dressed in black and slender clothes, modeled after Mr. Kirito, but whose overall temperament was obviously evil, was following the little rabbit leisurely. At the entrance of the dungeon, he easily crouched down to Bell. Zam! Ox Eugene and the real body Eugene have a mind-to-heart connection. This was the first time that the two of them appeared in the dungeon at the same time. It was a pity that they couldn't celebrate properly. That's almost it, let's exchange. Niu and the main body simultaneously summoned the Flying Thunder God scroll from the system space, and slapped it on the wall to press the mark. Then, trigger simultaneously. Call. Human and cow misalignment. This time, the person following Bell became a ferocious torrent. The person who continues to chase Ace and Bert is Eugene's principal. Come on, come on. The show is about to begin. Eugene flicked his tongue, and the invisible sound waves accurately fed him the nearest path. In order to catch up with the Minotaur, Ace and Bert chose a suboptimal route, which also gave Eugene the opportunity to surpass them. Enchanted. Sacrifice skill, dexterous fingers. Get super strengthened for 10 minutes. Enter physical strength and magic power compensation state. Eugene's eyes turned purple, and a purple light trailed out from the hem of the windbreaker behind him. His speed increased dramatically, and he dived into the darkness like a chasing falcon. Question mark. At the same time, Icy's pretty eyebrows wrinkled. An inexplicable feeling of loss arose in her heart, as if something important was gradually being lost from her life. She didn't know that it was a bond. An important bond with a young boy who will eventually grow up to be a hero. Ice didn't like this feeling very much. She covered her chest and her breathing became a little short. Loss was her earliest and most painful memory. His parents were swallowed up by the black dragon that covered the sky, and he could only cry weakly. Creak. The girl's fists were clenched, her blonde hair was flying, and her speed accelerated further, as if she was blending into the wind, as if she was trying to catch up with her destiny. But it's a pity. Opposing her is a man who can control the rope of fate and is overbearing and irrefutable in this regard. Everything in the world can go back to normal, except what has been changed by this man. Crunch. Eugene clenched his fists and grinned evilly. Hold on. That rope of fate. Break. At the fork in the road ahead, the two lost a trace of their prey and decided to split up. This time, the tunnel toward which Bert ran was bright. And the front of Icy was full of darkness. She hesitated for a moment and finally took the step. This step is the end. On the other side, in the crooked corridor, a huge figure ran hard until it collided with the boy with gray hair and red eyes. Ah, it hurts. Bell fell to the ground. Just as he was about to apologize, his eyes almost popped out. Niu Torin. The Torin who didn't have a cow but were still hanging around finally met someone who was easy to bully. He puffed up his chest and roared wildly at the little rabbit. This sound spread all around, and the sound followed the long corridor and reached the deepest darkness. This sound caused a wave of fate. Over there. Bert and Ice looked back at the same time and took steps forward. But the moment the girl moved forward, in the darkness ahead, a pair of eyes with an evil light lit up. Swordswoman, Ice Wallenstein, I've heard of her name for a long time. The man's arm lit up with a snow-white light, and he swung it backwards. With one blow, the corridor collapsed. This is the situation. A man wearing a black trench coat and a mask issued a polite invitation that could not be refused. Let's discuss it, shall we? 78 Looking for encounters in the underground city is really a mistake too. Kr. Ice had never seen the man in front of her before. Why does it appear here? He blew up the tunnel and wanted to duel with me. Haha, don't think so much. I'm not a dark sect, and I don't have any ill intentions. Eugene lowered his voice. Pyromancer, have you passed? It's you. Icy looked stunned. During 2 days of repairs in Rivera Town, she heard this name many times. The mysterious strong man who defeated the unidentified black monster set off raging seas of fire wherever he went. This was the impression Eugene's battle left on everyone, and they gave him a nickname based on it. Can you understand the idea of sparring in order to become stronger? Eugene pulled out Grand's machete. After his deep plunder, this weapon had turned into a weapon of good quality. Because Mengwei Waqiang killed someone, he never threw it away. He raised his hand and pointed directly at Icy, his eyes gradually narrowed, and he said no more. The collapsed tunnel behind him demonstrated his determination to fight. I see. Icy pulled out the thin sword like a stream of light from her waist. This sword is called the Sword of Despair, and it is a weapon with indestructible properties. However, Eugene, 900, is not afraid. His body is made of black Goliath's hard leather, which cannot be broken easily. He said he wanted to duel, but in fact he was just trying to find an excuse to stall for time. As soon as Niuniu's side is done, he will immediately find an opportunity to run away. But at this time, it is also very important to leave a deep impression on Ace. This is all to pave the way for the future. Please advise. Eugene bent over and the two faced each other in the air. Their momentum was astonishing. Call. Taking one step forward, the rapid air flow in and out of Eugene's mouth, and he used the breath of the sun for the first blow. Under the condition of being possessed and strengthened, his physical strength was further improved. So fast. Icy's pupils narrowed. Eugene's footwork and speed made her feel troublesome. But being tricky doesn't mean you're invincible. Kagura, the god of fire, round dance. Starting from the first move, Eugene moved forward rapidly, slashing with the blade across the board, leaving a blazing circular fire mark in the air. Such fierce techniques made Icy couldn't help but look sideways. But trying to suppress her in swordsmanship is almost impossible. The attributes of swordsmanship are agility and dexterity, and Ice has reached a level in both of these attributes. It can be said to be her best field. Break. She slashed her rapier back, placing the weapon in Eugene's path in a way that was not suitable for thrusting. It's not a bad weapon anyway, so if you can block it, you'll be fine. But at this moment, Eugene's body shape changed rapidly, and the hot breath circulated in his body, driving his steps to spin delicately. He left an afterimage on the spot, and his body suddenly turned to one side. Type of C. Magic sun and rainbow. Just like a mirage that is both fake and real, the breath of the sun is also first class in physical skills. Moreover, moves can be connected freely. With his body half rotated, Eugene tightened his arms and launched his next move on the side of Ice very smoothly. Type 3. Sun Red Mirror. The dark red heavy slash flew through the air, and its attack range and power caused this strike to tear apart large pieces of earth and stone in front of you. Icy relied on her keen perception and light body skills to narrowly avoid this move. Her boots were torn open to reveal the snow-white skin underneath. If it had been a little later, it would have been her own leg that was broken. Sharp. In just 3 moves, Icy has completely agreed with Eugene. Speed, accuracy, and consistency are all impeccable. Icy felt that her blood was a little warm. She grasped the hilt of the sword tightly with her hand, flicked her wrist, and threw out a cold light. This again. Eugene leaned back to avoid the blow. Relying on the indestructible weapon, he used his rapier to perform épée moves. This is also one of Ice's shortcomings. Because she lost her parents, she hated all the monsters in the dungeon. Therefore, the activated skills are all special attacks against monsters. After killing monsters bigger than herself for a long time, she developed the habit of using a wide range of moves. It's invincible against clumsy monsters, but it's just a weakness when it comes to people of the same size. Lu type. Bone-burning sun. Jung. Cleverly parrying and slashing, Eugene pressed forward and swung his arms, drawing a bright ring of flames in front of Ice. Crack. The sound of light armor and clothes came at the same time, and the battle girl's already cool outfit suddenly became more full of spring. After seeing the good stuff, Eugene couldn't help but want to whistle, but Icy interrupted him by replying faster and faster. She proved with her strength that having great moves is not necessarily a shortcoming. The combination of the rapier's speed and indestructible sharpness can be an invulnerable killer weapon. Ding 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 ding. The sound of swords clashing became one. Damn, this girl's speed is still faster than mine. Eugene's main strength is strength, but now his dexterity and agility are far inferior to his strength, which even with super amplification cannot make up for it. Then I will pull you into the realm of power. The breath of the sun. The 11 pattern, the dragon of sun halo head dance. A miracle can be achieved by vigorously slashing. Eugene allowed his moves to dominate his movements, and with more than 2,000 points of strength, he swung the blade halfway and disappeared, leaving only a large swath of fire in the air to form an angry dragon. Roar. The illusory flame dragon let out a low roar and pounced forward with its teeth and claws, forcibly suppressing Icy's dangerous sword net like a storm. Exclamation mark! Icy's eyes widened. She had the upper hand a second ago, but her opponent completely controlled her sword path with just one move. Those slashes seemed to come from all directions at the same time, and each strike was extremely powerful. The full force of the slashes gave them the highest speed. Oiler. Eugene used all his strength to wave the blade endlessly, and was able to gain the upper hand in the battle with the top IV5 heroine Sword Girl, which gave him an inexplicable pleasure of conquest. The two men fought and moved, performing an overwhelming confrontation in the narrow corridor. Their pace even reached the wall, relying on the flexibility of their bodies to fight each other from vertical and horizontal angles. Waves of sword energy, either as hot as fire or as sharp as wind, splash out from the confrontation, easily shattering walls and tearing apart the ground. This is a battle between high-ranking adventurers. A street is destroyed at every turn, and those who are not even qualified to watch. Click. The machete and the long sword were locked together, and Eugene's power immediately gained the upper hand, instantly overwhelming Ice, who only had D. Seeing that the situation was not good, she withdrew her strength and sank down. At the same time, she kicked out a roundhouse kick from the bottom up with her long and beautiful legs. Eugene raised his elbow to block the move, and when he raised his hand again, a snow-white sword light came straight in front of him. Stab. This time, it was Eugene's turn to lean back dramatically. His mask was blown off by a shot, which was really unexpected. This girl Ice actually takes the initiative to change her sword path. Shouldn't she? Eugene did a backflip on the ground, and at the same time used a horizontal slash in midair called Sunset Turn to escape Ice pursuit. He landed on the ground, but felt wet on his forehead. ... With a long sigh, Eugene stood up. She is indeed the princess of swords. Her beauty and strength shocked me. Your sword skills are very exquisite. Ice's expression was rarely moved. If I hadn't decided to change my sword path at a moment's notice, I wouldn't have taken any advantage. As she spoke, she looked at the hand holding her sword, as if she was a little confused. A move that I had hardly used in the past suddenly appeared. Are they connected? The corners of Eugene's lips curled up quietly. Strong luck, replaced, lucky. Strong, replaced, weak. Now, the two parties connected by the thread of fate have become Eugene and Ice. As long as Eugene can still control his destiny, the direction of this cause and effect cannot be changed. I have a strange premonition that if I fight you, I will become stronger. Ice raised her sword forward with a sincere and serious expression, just like her simple character. Please, continue to fight with me. You are treating me as an experienced baby. Eugene curled his lips helplessly. Icy has been stuck at level 5 for 3 full years now, and her attributes have also reached a bottleneck. She has been worried about this, but she doesn't know that this is actually her upper limit. Why do you have to earn great achievements when upgrading? If your great achievements are not NB enough, it will limit your subsequent development. Icy relies on her monster special attack skills to maintain a 4.1 stop killer rhythm in the dungeon, which will of course affect her development. The principle of risk-taking is to fight hard. The harder you fight, the faster and higher you will rise. As one of the strongest IV5 players in Orario, how long has it been since Ice tried her best? ... Eugene looked at the girl who was eager to give it a try and had a bad idea in his mind. Don't you want to become stronger? Okay. Satisfy you. He took one last look at the tattered machete in his hand and threw it away. This kind of fighting style is really not suitable for me. The purple light in his eyes danced, and the magic power on his body gradually rose. You haven't forgotten the nicknames everyone gave you, right? Fire breather. If you don't breathe fire, how can you be called a fire breather? Suck. Between his breaths, an orange light flashed in Eugene's throat. Icy's breathing was momentarily stagnant. This is a long and narrow corridor with no place to hide. Just try your best. See if you can break through that boundary when you are alone and surrounded by death. Roar. Breath of Flame LXXX. 80 level enhancement. 79 Looking for encounters in dungeons is really a mistake. 3. Breath of Flame LXXX. 80 levels of enhancement. Having tasted the benefits of this skill, Eugene lost control and began to hunt hellhounds crazily. There are really not many magic monsters in the dungeon. Things like Cerberus, which have powerful magic and are easy to hunt in large numbers, can only be found in the deep layers. For Eugene, this was a godsend. Now that it has been stacked up to 80 layers, when he takes a bite, regardless of the range, distance, power, temperature, and impact, it is completely in another dimension. So, dear Miss Sword Princess, if you want to become stronger, if you want to go further when you have reached the bottleneck, please use your best and try your best to survive. I saw Eugene's chest swelled high. Just when Icy said that he would fight to the end, he mercilessly sprayed deadly flames at the blonde angel. Roar! A blinding flash of light obscures everything. The flames that usually spread out in a nearly semicircular shape were now forcibly restricted to a single route, and the impact it caused immediately doubled. And the magical flames that surged and erupted, completely swallowing up all space, turned into a huge pillar of fire, and rushed forward. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Ice's eyes were illuminated by the firelight, her face was illuminated by the firelight, and her body was illuminated by the firelight. She has nowhere to hide and can't retreat. This time, there are no reliable teammates and no broad sky or ground. Some only have themselves and the flames coming from the front. Wake up! The blonde girl roared, her expression was as severe as ever before, and she clenched the sword that had been with her until now. Even if she used her magic, even if she held an indestructible sword, she still couldn't feel any sense of security. No one will come to save me. Even if you cry, you can only move forward alone. It's too late, it's fast. The raging flames arrived in the blink of an eye, and the terrifying temperature had already scorched the ends of Icy's hair before it arrived. Her body surface is covered with a crisp wind whirlpool, wind spirit speeding. This magic is a gift from her mother, making every movement of hers as light as a feather riding the wind. Call! The oncoming wave of flames was split into two. Wherever the sharp sword tip touched, a safe vacuum was created for Ice. But Eugene was too long and too persistent. In order not to be swallowed by the ensuing impact, she had no choice but to swing the rapier with all her strength, using an exaggeratedly dense sword net to hold up a small space for herself. The astonishing heat burned her delicate skin. With a look of crisis on her face, Ice gritted her teeth and endured the roasting, which would be torture for any girl. Instead of retreating, she pointed her sword forward, swung the sword with full output of magic and super speed, and withstood the impact of the flames, stepping forward step by step. I can't go back. I want to become stronger, become stronger. If you don't win this time, how can you reach that guy? How can you get your parents back? On both sides of her, the ground had begun to carbonize, and the earth and stone on the walls were washed away by the flames and quickly turned into dust. Zilla zilla. Finally, the red skin could not withstand the rising temperature and began to swell and blister. Burns have always been a terrible injury. The pain goes deep into the bone marrow and is extremely long. But when faced with a life or death crisis, what does this pain mean? When you block everything in the true sense and put everything you have into it. It's just the collapse of the body, so what does it matter? In front of Icy, the glow of the sword shadow became more and more dazzling. Her hands were waving in a transparent way, making it completely invisible. The increasingly protruding tip shows an indomitable edge. But just when she stabilized her posture and prepared to move forward, the flames in front of me actually increased in strength again. After all, the Hellhound is a weak monster. Not only does it need to accumulate power, but its magic power is only enough to burn the flame for a short time. But Eugene is a monster who drinks magic potion as water. In addition, he is now in a state of physical and magic compensation. As long as he wants, he can output endlessly. Don't look at how intimidating this fire is, Eugene can spray for hours without any pressure. Inject magic twice as much. In order to fully cooperate with this trial, Eugene put aside any worries and fully unleashed his true firepower. The reason why magic is rare is because of its transcendent power. In normal battles, adventurers mainly hide and defend with shields. In a head-on confrontation, the probability of injury is too high, so almost no one does it. And today, Eugene is going to force Icy to give it a try. Let her recall how she, who was once weak, broke through her limits. Scream. Go ahead. Swing your sword. While the man burst out with energy that could destroy the girl, he cheered for her sincerely. 10 seconds, 20 seconds. In the raging current of flames in which no living thing can survive, a difficult but determined wind is swimming upstream. One step, another step. Icy's palms were completely torn apart, and she felt as if she was trapped in an eternal hell, with no end in sight no matter how she went. But in the confusion, there is always a force pushing her and a thread pulling her. Help her cross the line that she cannot cross. Close. Her expression was completely still, and the only thought left in Ice's mind was the idea of wielding a sword. Her skin was burned in large areas, losing its beauty, and her gold-like hair burned, becoming curled and blackened. But none of this could shake her in the slightest. The blood in the body is boiling, because of the heat wave and because of the soul. It was clear that she was in a desperate situation, but her movements were getting faster and faster, and the wind spirits surrounding her were becoming more and more cheerful. In a godless era, there was a race called fairies, who led the heroes. They possess magical powers and are known as the beings closest to God. They are also known as God's darlings and God's clones. Ace Wallenstein, the mother she remembers as a wind fairy named Arya. Crunch. Bones and muscles crackled at the same time. A certain shackle in Icy's body was loosened. Her dry body seemed to have poured into a sweet spring, and the bottleneck that had trapped her for 3 years was finally broken at this moment. The dead line is the limit. To transcend life and death is to transcend oneself. The girl's eyes burst with indomitable thoughts, and the fairy blood in her body was mobilized for the first time in a long time. Wisps of brand new wind swirl out from every corner of the body, bringing a refreshing and smooth feeling at the same time. She smiled. Holding the thread leading her in front, Ice finally closed the door to a higher place. The endless flame hell can no longer restrain her. Jung. The sound of the sword echoed throughout the corridor. It was still clear in the roaring sea of fire. In Eugene's sight, facing the dazzling gaze, a proud and beautiful figure of 953 strode forward. She imitated Eugene's posture, twirled the sword, and drew a vortex built by the wind. In an instant, the scattered whirlwind blew away the flames. The small wind removed the fierce fire, then shrank inwards and gathered together, forming an indestructible point. Ice put her sword back into her chest, her magic power rising to the limit. Magic plus idea plus sword technique plus combat technique equals certain kill skill. Micro wind. Take some Arankar. The cyan cold light shrunk to a point, breaking through Eugene's fire wall with devastating force. In just one step, she came to this stranger who was both friend and foe. After 30 long seconds, the two finally met again. Their eyes met across the distance, and the angel reborn from the ashes and the devil with an evil smile collided at this moment. Congratulations. Eugene grinned and summoned the battle axe in his hand. Clang. An extremely clear stabbing sound sounded. He was armed with an axe and was knocked out dozens of meters. Damn it. Eugene, whose throat was filled with smoke, couldn't even speak a word, so he could only let the girl chase him. However, he still threw out a bottle of complete healing potion and a thick coat without looking back. The next second, he made a chic farewell gesture. Call. Flying Thunder God. The man who gave the girl unforgettable memories disappeared into the depths of the corridor. The girl with no expression was left, staring blankly into the darkness. Silently picking up the bottle of potion and putting on the 2 large clothes, Ice looked back at the terrifying sea of fire that was still burning and pouted dissatisfiedly. Quote. 80 Looking for an encounter in a dungeon is really a mistake. 4. Just after Eugene's principal side finished spraying and went offline. According to the plan, Eugene, the bull on Belle's side, has also completed his mission. Now let's reminisce together. Wah! In front of the Tauren, who was far more than 2 meters tall, the only thing Belle could do was to run away. His steps were hurried and his breathing was rapid, and the confidence that had supported him to advance here was gone. Horrible. Very scary. Is there such a terrifying monster in the dungeon? Compared to the goblins, kobolds, and bad bats we had dealt with before, the ones chasing after us were simply a nightmare. Boom, boom, boom. Heavy footsteps hit the ground, but their speed was astonishingly fast. With just one swing, you can blast rocks. This is the middle-level monster, the Minotaur. Run, run. Although his physical strength was at the bottom, Belle did not run forward desperately. He didn't know where he was, and he couldn't think of any way to get rid of the devil behind him. Just running away for one's life has already occupied all the thoughts in the brain. Boom. Accompanied by the loud sound of earth and rocks exploding behind him, the hair on the back of Belle's head stood up like needles. A smelly wind rushed towards behind me. Under this crisis, the young man's body not only did not freeze, but instead burst out with a force, urging him to roll forward. Phew. The Tauren's hand was only a few feet away from catching the little rabbit, but the other party escaped again in an embarrassed manner. Along the way, the two figures chased each other and escaped. This scene has been staged several times in succession. At critical moments, this thin boy can always detect in advance and save the day. However, no matter how powerful luck is, it will be exhausted at some point. Escape again and again consumes the fortune, while panicking and choosing a way deepens the crisis. Finally, there was no more road in front of Belle. No, do not want. The young man slapped the thick rock wall, his expression full of despair. And behind him, the panting Tauren has reached its peak. Roar ow ow. The war cry, which was enough to make most low-level adventurers weak in the legs, echoed in the narrow corridor. The violent sound waves overlapped and intertwined, hitting Belle hard in the desperate situation. His legs and feet immediately lost control, and his body slid down like a pool of mud. It's over. The adventurer's career ends here. It was obvious that I had just met the Lord God, had just received God's favor, and had only been in the underground city for a few days. Why, this happened to me? Why, I am so unfortunate. Ideas kept popping up in his mind, but they couldn't alleviate any real crisis. The Minotaur's mouth was drooling, his eyes were red, and he raised his giant fists high, hitting Belle, who was huddled in a ball and screaming. Ouch! At this time, from behind the two, a loud and arrogant wolf howl sounded. Being both beasts, the Tauren were immediately attracted by the sudden sound. Its instinct is warning. Attackers come from time to time. Huh, damn monster, run so far. Quote. Bert, the werewolf with silver hair and silver armor and an angry face, appeared later, rubbing his canine teeth and issuing a curse full of resentment. I've wasted so much time on you, why don't you wake up to me? Belle's red pupils are wide open. Is he an adventurer? He looks very strong. Facing Bert, who is as powerful as a savage beast, although the Tauren lost their confidence, they had to face the enemy head-on. It arched its body and was about to launch the Tauren's strongest skill, a brutal collision. But the strong hind legs have just started kicking off the ground, and the body has not even had time to take a step forward. Boom! A flying kick from the bottom up, like a storm rising into the sky, carrying unstoppable force, directly tore apart all the parts above the Minotaur's neck. Tisk! Bert raised one leg with a disdainful expression. The monster, swept away by the man's huge force, leaned back sharply, and the blood splattered on its neck directly poured over the helpless Belle's head and face, turning the whole thing into a bloody man. Well, hey. Looking at the sticky blood on his body, Belle screamed in horror. At this time, Bert discovered that there was someone behind the Tauren. Hey, shut up. Bert's eyes widened, and Belle was so frightened that he quickly fell silent. He looked up and down and found no wounds on Belle's body. Humph, it's just another trash fish. Not wanting to pay any more attention, Bert turned and left. But at this time, Belle stopped him. Well, thank you very much for your help. Please tell me your name. The longing for the strong made the young man's eyes shine. Ha! Bert turned around and looked at the miserable young man impatiently. He saw longing and desire in those clear eyes. New. You are obviously weak as hell, but you still look forward to a place like this. Why are you even more excited after having experienced something like that? Why, after seeing what life and death are, do you still maintain your enthusiasm? The trash fish should just stay on the ground and live out its life casually. There is simply no self-awareness. Such people will only cause trouble to others, and they do not deserve sympathy even if they die. In this kid, Bert saw what he hated most, innocence and smallness. His eyes were cold, his mouth was wide open, and his smile was full of sarcasm. How dare you ask the uncle's name for a piece of trash like you? You are obviously very weak, but you still have the nerve to hang out in the dungeon. When Belle heard this, his expression froze. The joy of surviving the disaster and the expectation of becoming a hero were poured with cold water as soon as they rose. Pound re. Stop making excuses. Bert looked fierce and simply let go of his temper and laughed loudly. In the dungeon, weakness is a sin. You deserve to die and deserve to be killed. You're such a ignorant boy, do you really think you can achieve anything? Go home and have your sweet dreams. I'm telling you, there's no place for AB************** D like you here. If you want to save your life, abandon those boring dreams as soon as possible and go back to the countryside to farm and pick manure to live out your life. His voice was sharp and his tone became more and more serious. In the end, it even became a personal insult. Do you understand? Idiot tomato boy. Ha 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 ha. The piercing laughter penetrated Bell's chest. His not-so-strong heart was completely broken. Why? I just want to be a hero, why should such a dream be laughed at? Reluctant, but forced to admit the fact that he is weak, this contrast makes people even more uncomfortable. In his chest, strange emotions were growing. That is rebellion, self-esteem, and the spirit of young people. After being stimulated and proving one's determination, it will become extremely high. Destiny has been changed, but not so easily. It's always trying to correct itself, and it will put everything back on track where Eugene didn't interfere. A longing for the goal. Determined to prove is the determination to rise up and be slapped in the face. As the saying goes, 30 years to the east of the river and 30 years to the west of the river, don't bully young people into poverty. It can still be slapped in the face without a female protagonist. If you can't do battle, just take the martial arts route. Bert equals Lin Langtian. Such a fate line is taking shape rapidly. However, a hot man is never left out. Boom. In the darkness in the distance, the vibration of battle broke out. Bert's expression changed and he looked back. Is it Ace? Is she in trouble? But just when the werewolf was about to lift his feet and leave. In the darkness behind him, a tall and majestic beast, with two horns on its head and covered in purple magic flames, strode forward. Hey, what a joke. Even if he went 50 floors deep into the dungeon, Bert had never seen such a guy. Ox Eugene is covered in thick armor and exudes an extremely dangerous aura from head to toe. His pair of copper-belled bull eyes glanced between the two in front of him, and soon, a vivid smile appeared on the beast's face. That is an arrogant smile, a creepy smile. Oh shit. What the hell are you? Bert cursed subconsciously. Niu, on the other hand, exhaled a wisp of hot air from his nostrils and had a scornful attitude. His thick arms were raised forward, palms clenched. On the other hand, a snow-white glow has begun to bloom. Infinitely ready. Bert noticed the huge magic power and his expression became serious. When did monsters become able to use such powerful magic? If that kind of magic power were released, the consequences would be disastrous. The werewolf's body tightened, and the muscles on the soles of his feet conveyed a strong desire to attack. Facing Eugene, he was 120% hostile, not only wary of strange and dangerous species. There is also an anger that comes from the feeling of frustration deep in the heart. Does this Tauren have a grudge against me? Why is he so upset? Sneeze. Lena, who was lying limply on the bed, couldn't help but sneeze. Bert shook his head violently to clear away the distracting thoughts. The pressure coming from Eugene's body, Qian Hao, and the magic aura gathering on his arms made him pay great attention to it. In response, this young strong man decided to use his full strength in the first blow. ... Eugene's voice was hoarse and heavy. The first word he uttered made Bert freeze. Speak. The monster spoke. The werewolf's ears stood up, his eyes widened, and the strength he was building up a second ago suddenly relaxed. ... Eugene still spoke out words unhurriedly, creating an atmosphere that made people nervous but forced to listen. Your father. He said the last two words very clearly and coherently. Question mark. Bert's head was buzzing, but at this moment, a gorgeous dagger appeared out of thin air in Eugene's stretched out hand. The next second, a straight electric current hit Bert. FK. Lift it up. Without any warning, the power of thunder accurately hit the werewolf's body. The intensity of the magic power was beyond imagination, and the strong man at level 5 could only tremble on the spot, unable to move. Idiot. Eugene took a step forward and laughed so hard that he couldn't help himself. In his hand, a huge ball of light tore through the air, drawing a dazzling trace of light with unparalleled strength and steaming magic power. Immediately, under Bert's shocked and powerless gaze, he hit his chest. Sacrifice all super-enhanced attributes. Niu Gen Fist. Oh, thank you for watching. Continue exploring the fascinating world of Chinese novels with us. Hit that subscribe button on Chinese Novel Audiobook to stay updated with our latest stories. And never miss out on a great listen.